that Jalen. Oh, okay. Um, okay, I think I've got the green light. I'm on now. So good evening. It is March 31st, 2025 at 6 p.m. This is our special meeting of the Economic Community Development Committee. As I know that we've told council members and staff, we decided to change the process a little bit this year and do this in two meetings instead of one, to be fair for staff time, as well as frankly our own time, because once you get past 10 p.m., no one pays attention to anything. So, so we've split this in half arbitrarily. There's no rhyme or reason to it. We just have the list. Before we get started, I want to do a roll call. So, in attendance, council members Lisa Shanahan, Barbara Smith, Jim Freyer, Nicole Ayers. I'm sorry, let me do committee members first. So myself, Jim Freyer, Lisa Shanahan, Barbara Smith, Heather Dunn. And I know that council members Jalen Seed and Darlene Young should be joining us very shortly. So we'll note it for the minutes when they do arrive. Also in attendance are council members Nicole Ayers, Ann Wennerstrand, and Nicole Eady. I think that's all the council members in attendance, and obviously we've got a lot of guests tonight. And before I open it up to public participation, or actually, I'm sorry, let's accept the minutes first. So from the special meeting of March 17th, 2025, do I have a motion? Councilmember Freyer. Any additions, deletions, corrections? Nope. Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, 1, 2, 3, yep. All right, that passes unanimously. Okay. I keep getting in front of myself. But before, actually, let's do public participation and then let's start the meeting. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak tonight? I
There
see.
are.
Okay.
If anybody would like to speak, please use the raise your hand function and we'll allow you to talk. First up is Diane Lauricella. You should be able to unmute yourself now.
And just as a reminder for public comment, it's you get 3 minutes and it has to be on something related to the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Sabrina. Good evening, members of this committee, as well as others that are guesting. My name is Diane Lauricella, 21 Little Fox Lane. I, as you know, look at the budget almost every year. And so there are some themes I just wanted to ask you to think about as you look at the line items in this budget, and I guess you're having another meeting. The first is, do we really have in this budget as laid out wants versus needs? I think not. I think more cuts are needed, and I will clarify in a moment. Remember, this is your last capital budget before the November municipal elections, and in light of what is happening in Washington, I think we need to show some restraint in general on the number of fleet vehicles that certain departments are asking for yet again, and certain building management measures, as well as Broad River Park. So I just wanted to quickly go over, because I think I only have 2 minutes left, under the operations and public works, under solid waste, the transfer station. I just wanted to say that we absolutely need better signage and a cleaner environment. I go there quite often, and I think it can be organized differently. And one day, of course, I'm hoping for a swap shop there that I have talked to staff about. Under engineering, C1, watercourse maintenance, it makes me nervous that $1 million might be used to look at dredging out a river or a stream, but of course we will do our permits. Under C3, stormwater management plan, $350,000 I think is high. We have very capable staff that we're paying a lot of money to, and I see this trend where we are using for everything consulting firms, and if you ask them to do a $250,000 study, they will. So I think you should cut at least $100,000 from that $350,000. Under fleet replacement, $665,000, I think. Cut it in half, please. Under building management, H03, the main library. I think we need a renovation of this library, and we should allow a foundation to be created where we ask corporate sponsors like other towns do. Under police facilities, 610,000, makes me think that there are huge infrastructure problems that we never should have encountered. Under the Ben Franklin School H08, improvements of $1 million and change. I want to make sure that we have some renewables in this. If not, then let's go back to the drawing board on Ben Franklin. Under H10, under EVs, please return Teslas that the city, consider returning the Teslas that the mayor and others purchased. Under park maintenance, ops, and PW, please use private donors for any more money on the South Main Street Community Center. And number 2, Broad River has already 3.4 million. They're asking for 2 million more. And I want to say, and I know Lisa's on this call, no artificial turf fields. I think it's going to be snuck in. Under police, they are asking for $950,000 worth of cars and vans. Yet again, I think they
Diane,
should
you've
do
got, you're at 3 minutes.
I will just wind up if I may.
5
with
seconds.
With a final sentence. I'm a taxpayer. Come on. And there's just
I'm
wait a
trying to keep
second.
it
Let me
fair to
finish.
everyone else. That we, you know,
Well, let's be fair. Okay, let me finish my sentence, please.
Go
So
ahead.
thank you. In conclusion, I just want to make sure that IT fixes the website. They're asking for $750,000 almost. The police do not need as many cars and vans. They should take a cut. And I do believe that we need, under the Board of Ed, to have a whole different energy management strategy for oil tank removal and air conditioning. If we had net zero energy schools, which I have proposed for many years in the future and in the past. Thank you for allowing me to
Diane.
speak.
Okay, are there any other members of the community who would like to participate and give public comment tonight? Going once, going twice. Okay, we are closing public participation. And as a reminder, we are doing another meeting on the capital budget with a different set of departments this Thursday as well. So I want to, before we get into the new business, obviously discussing the capital budget, I first of all want to introduce our brand new Director of Economic and Community Development, Jay Habansky, who is here tonight. Today is his first day, so be nice to him. And and Jay, I don't know if there are any, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if there's anything you want to say, just by way of saying hi. And obviously we got committee members here and we got some other council members here too. So if there's anything you want to say, I give you the opportunity here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can everyone hear me loud and clear? I was fidgeting with my new system here, and so good. Yeah, my name is Jay Habansky, and I just want to say that although I wish I had more to add to the discussion this evening, I'm going to answer as many questions, any questions that come up, the best that I can. And I am very excited to join the fantastic team here and look to support them in any way that I can. And yeah, learn from all of you and how I can best serve the residents of Norwalk. So it's a pleasure meeting you all. I look forward to meeting you all in person.
Thank you, Jay. Obviously, I think I could speak for all of us to say that we look forward to working with you and really throwing you in the deep end of the pool tonight. But that's how we do it. Just want to note for the record, council members Darlene Young and Jalen Seed came to the meeting about, I would say 5 or 6 minutes ago. So for the records, let's mark it at 6:05. Okay. So before we get into sort of the department by department overview, and obviously as we have 8 departments going tonight, we'll have another bunch of departments on Thursday. Jared Schmidt, the CFO for the city, wanted to give a brief presentation on sort of like the capital budget and sort of an overview on what the capital budget is and the overall recommendation. So Jared, I give you the floor.
Jared, do you
you.
want me to share my screen with the presentation, or do you want to do
Yeah,
it?
sure. Sure. Yeah, either you or Tom can do it. Whoever. That's great.
I've
Thank you.
got it. You're
Yep.
welcome.
I was ready just in case,
Well,
but I'll stand
Perfect.
down.
All right. Thank you again, and thanks for the opportunity to do this. I really just want to give everybody a little bit of context for the capital plan, maybe a couple caveats, and a summary of the plan. And so I'll jump right into it. We go to page 1. The one thing I want to point out is that the whatever gets authorized. So what and I know this is old hat for a lot of people, and I apologize for that, but there are probably some new people who may not know all the lingo, all the jargon process, and so I just want to be sure that we're all starting at the same point. So what ultimately what will happen is there will be an authorization to bond a certain amount of money for next year. This is not the same exact thing as how much we issue. And I listed a couple of examples there. For example, in the WPCA, they need authorization for some of the projects that they do well in advance of doing them for purposes of getting approval, sometimes for getting grants. And that doesn't necessarily mean if they have a $5 million project, it doesn't necessarily mean that that project's going to be done next year. It may be 2 or 3 years from now that it starts getting done. And so I wanted to point out that difference. Another example is the fire truck that you'll see in the plan. Fire trucks need 3 to 4 years lead time now, but the authorization needs to be there so that the fire department can go to the truck manufacturer and say, look, we have authorization, we have the commitment from the city to purchase the vehicle. And so let's move forward with it, even though we may not actually shell out money for 3 or 4 years. So I just wanted to make that clear, the difference. And I'll get into a little bit more later on about the difference between authorization and issuance. This year, we're using a little bit of bond premium to offset our debt service payment. We have accumulated some bond premium, and so we're using a portion of that bond premium to reduce our debt service payment.
Jared, would
the
you mind just
budget.
defining bond premium quickly, just so that everyone knows?
Sure. When we go to issue bonds, we receive proceeds for the bonds, and then we also, in some cases, depending on the market, may receive a premium on top of the face value of the bonds. And so we have that, and we've built up a little reserve, debt service reserve, bond premium reserve, and this is a good time to use it because we're doing everything we can to find ways to reduce the impact on taxpayers, especially residential taxpayers, given the reval and the phasing of the reval. And so that's one aspect of the way bond premium will be used. Another way will be just to pay cash for some of the low dollar recurring projects that have been approved in the past. And I want to try to get away from that and do this in kind of a 2-step process. So the first step would be moving those to bond premium. So these are things, I'll give you a couple of examples. One would be like repair of fences, is a good example. So these are most of them are maintenance types of projects, and typically around $50,000 or so. Some of them are less, some are a little bit more, and they really should become part of the operating budget. It would again be a little burdensome if we were to take all of those and move them directly into the operating budget. So what I'm proposing is for a year or two that those projects will be paid out of bond premium as well. And just because the question may come up, we have consulted with our auditors, we've consulted with our bond counsel, and this is all being done within the parameters of what's allowed. We last year we had been using before I came in, we had been using 3 rating agencies to rate our bonds. And when I came in, I talked to our financial advisor about this and said, you know, why I didn't see any reason to pay, because we have to pay for each one of them, to pay 3 rating agencies. And so we are, as of last year and going forward, we'll just be using 2, and it saves us about $40,000 to $50,000 a year in payments to the rating agencies. And S&P and Moody's have a lion's share of the market, so they're the ones that are most important and matter most. In terms of the I nailed this down to one bullet, but in terms of what the Common Council can ultimately do, it's approve, reject, reduce, or reinstate any item. So ultimately, you have kind of broad control over what can happen with the items that are on the plan now. The Planning and Zoning Commission has a role in the process where they take a look at all the proposals and try to look at that in conjunction with the Plan of Conservation and Development, and just to be sure that all of the projects are in compliance with the POCD. And so they did their job, and everyone should have received a transmittal letter from the P&Z Commission and saying that everything was jives with the POCD. And then I just want to talk a little bit about a few aspects. As everyone knows, the charter revision is going on, and I've put forth a few proposals to clarify and also I think enhance the budget and the capital plan. In terms of the capital plan, I'm proposing that we go to a 10-year capital improvement plan instead of a 5-year. I think it gives us a better outlook, and we'll end up promoting a plan that is more consistent with how the money will actually be spent. When we have a 5-year plan, a lot of the proposals from the departments, it's kind of just everything's just kind of smushed into a very condensed time period of 5 years. And so going out 10 years is more realistic, more accurate. So I think it's going to give us a better reading on how these projects will ultimately play out. I'm also proposing a 4-year sunset provision. And this relates to the first bullet that we talked about, the authorization issued versus issued. We have right now within the capital plan and authorized capital projects, some projects that are very old, go back 10 years, and I think even more. Tom could probably talk in more detail about how far back they go. What I'm proposing, and has been done in other towns, particularly Stamford, is that we go to a 4-year sunset provision, which says that any, if we going into this capital plan season, anything that's remaining that has been authorized, but we haven't issued bonds for yet, that's more than 4 years old, would by default be deauthorized. There'll be a protection in there, because in some cases some cases there's a legitimate reason for things extending out beyond that period. And so my proposal is to put forth a report before each capital season begins to say, here's the list of all the ones that are older than 4 years. Within here, there may be any number of ones that should be extended, but the point is that there would have to be a proactive step of reapproving those items. And again, these are proposals. They haven't been approved yet, but they're part of what's going on in the charter revision process. There's been talk recently about the BET's role in the process. The proposal now is that what the BET's action is on the capital plan and the capital budget is to make a recommendation, and so that's why what you all will be voting on is ultimately a recommendation from the BET. It's not a binding. It's not a binding dollar amount. In this case, this year, the BET had recommended reducing the authorizations by $20 million. So again, that's just a recommendation. And then there are various process changes, which are mostly just timing of and kind of marrying up early on in the process the capital budget with the operating budget, which we really started doing this year anyway. And so it's just codifying that. And so those are a few of the just caveats, process items that I wanted to remind everybody about and let everybody know. So next page, thank you. This shows the progression of the different proposals so far this year. We started out, well, we really started out with the 25 approved budget, and just wanted to put that in there for comparison. And then the departments put forth their requests. We in the finance department, as the next step, ended up reducing the department request by about $18 million to bring it down to about 74 million total. The BET again proposed reducing that by another 20 million, down to $54 million and change. And then the mayor made his proposal, which is 74,662. We separate these into two larger groups. We have the Board of Ed and the city. All of the debt service on the Board of Ed and city projects are paid through city debt service on the city side of the budget, versus the second group, which is the enterprise entities, which is the WPCA and the Parking Authority, are self-sufficient, self-funding enterprise entities. As such, they pay the debt service of whatever they borrow, even though the city is effectively I'll say the sponsor of the bond authorizations and the bond issuance. It's those entities that end up paying the debt service, the interest and the principal payments on those bonds. And we'll go to the last page. This is an analysis that was done by our municipal financial advisor, which is Munistat. And so really what this shows is an attempt to come up with an estimate of what our maximum debt load should be. And so what the debt load is, it's defined as the principal, any of the principal authorizations, bond authorizations that are remaining, that have not been fully paid off yet. And so the first section of this is the total outstanding debt that's on the books as of right now that has not been paid off. Those have not matured yet, and so those bonds have not been paid off yet. The second is the what's in this proposal, which is 74 million and change. And then back to the authorized unissued total debt at $28 million. We actually have about 113 million total in authorized unissued debt. Sorry, not debt. authorize unissued projects. The way the calculation works, our financial advisor amortizes that over 4 years. So, just taking the 113 and dividing it by 4 to come up with the total long-term debt. And then there's a short-term debt, which are bond anticipation notes, which we started doing last year in order to provide cash during times of, especially we're waiting for the state to reimburse us for, in particular, school construction projects, HVAC projects, and the like. So that gives us cash to pay those while we're waiting for the reimbursement. So the total of those is 585 million, almost 0.5. Our ceiling, our cap, is estimated to be $650 million. And so that leaves us a cap space of about $64 million, $64.5 million. And so I wanted everyone to see this calculation so that you all, understand and know the context of what it is you would be voting for, hopefully. And so you see it within the larger context of what the cap is and what the rest of our debt is. And that's my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions that anybody has.
Thank you, Jared. Any questions for Jared before we start our review? Barbara.
Sorry, hit the wrong button there. Thanks for that presentation, Jared. And I appreciate the 10-year outlook. I think that's going to be really helpful moving forward. My question is, back on the debt service, we'll have a balance of, 64 million dollars. Is there like a recommendation on that, from our rating agencies? It seems, like a pretty healthy amount that, we have there, but, I just curious if there's a recommendation that comes in, because it seems like we're pretty safe based on what I'm seeing there.
In terms of the amount of debt service that we pay each year, is that what you're asking?
No, back on that last, I'd need to see the last slide again.
I think what she's asking, Jared, is we're under by 64.5
Yes.
million. How does that?
Yes, that's it.
What would our bond advisor say about that?
This is, I think he would say, which I would say the same thing, which is that this year, this is a lot to borrow this year, but even with this, we would still be almost $65 million under the cap. And so I think in future years, I think there will have to be some belt tightening on what we borrow. If, as long as everybody agrees that, maintaining the AAA rating, which we continue to have. I didn't mention that, but that's important because that's really the crux of all this, because that cap relates to the AAA rating. And that was this exercise and this analysis was from our financial advisor to say, in order to maintain that AAA rating, this is where you should be. You should be under $650 million. And so, we're fine for this year. And, I think next year there'll have to be some belt tightening, like I said.
Okay, that answered my question. Now, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jim.
Yeah, Jared, I just wanted to comment where I think Barbara was going there initially was that she might have been just mixing up the 64 million that you've got at the bottom with the 74 that we got on top. So in other words, what we're looking at next year is that if we were to borrow the same amount next year, without retiring a significant amount of debt and during the course of the year, we would then be over and above what our cap is. And that would dramatically affect our credit rating. So the fact that we're doing 74 million this year, we shouldn't get really I don't believe we should be really very comfortable with that, because if our trend is, and we look at hopefully the 10-year rollout on the capital would give us a better idea of what's coming next year. So if I take a look at what we've got in for next year, you know, we're coming pretty close to what we are at this year. So we can't go to 74. We can't. Maximum we should really be looking at next year is at the very, very maximum is about $64 million. So, you know, we've got to start to get into this mindset of not spending, you know, what we would like to have. And like Miss Lauricella said, you know, it's not what we would like to have, but it's what we must have is what we should be looking at. Anyway, I just wanted to make that comment. But thank you very much, Jared. I think that's very, very good analogy that you did.
Yeah, and just to go the next step on that, which is that and you talked about in terms of if we you know, if we did borrow $74 million next year and we didn't retire any debt, what would happen? So we would be approximately $10 million over the cap at that point. The reality, we do retire debt each year, and we retire in principal. In terms of principal, we retire approximately $30 million a year, and so there would be an offset to that. But your point and backup of what I was trying to stress about belt tightening still stands. It's yeah, I think there needs to be some reductions in the amount that's authorized next year.
Or this year too, we could also do that.
Tom?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to, I know the discussion is more about this limit of 650. That is certainly a critical barometer, but not the only barometer. Our bond advisor is always quick to mention that it's a series of thresholds and limits that are reviewed in totality. One of the things obviously that helps us significantly is our rainy day fund. So even if we were to get to say 651 next year, we wouldn't automatically lose our AAA rating. It would be taken into consideration with a number of other factors. And the other thing that the rating agencies don't like to do is take you down a notch and then the next year bring you back up. So if you are approaching or exceeding a number of your thresholds, they will generally, I don't know if wide berth is the right word, but they would give you some berth to try to manage it back within the thresholds over the following year. So.
Yeah, and usually that's a good point, Tom. And usually what they do is they hit you with, they won't go directly to a downgrade. They might go to a negative outlook. And so you may end up having like a AAA rating still, but with a negative outlook instead of jumping right to, you know, the next level down. But yeah, that's a good point, Tom. Our pension fund is well funded. Our OPEB is overfunded. And some of the other, you know, some of the other metrics are in good condition.
Okay, that is that's very helpful, and I think it's a nice way to set the stage. I mean, obviously, the capital budget is I mean, you know, it seems reductive to say it's a complex process, but it is. And I appreciate all the work that you do in the finance department, and obviously, you play an integral role in managing the capital budget process. And so I wanted to thank you, and I really appreciate that you came out here and took the time to give this presentation. And obviously will provide us counsel throughout this process as we evaluate requests by departments and ultimately render a vote scheduled for next week.
Great.
So
Thanks so much for the opportunity to do that.
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so I want to begin the review and presentation. We have 8 departments tonight. I just want to advise, and I realize that I know there's a lot happening, but it's a lot to cover, but I want to make sure that we're mindful of everyone's time. So if we could be as efficient with our use of time as possible, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to go in the order that it was on the agenda. So first up is the Historical Commission.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Westmoreland.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Councilmember Freyer, I know what mistake I just made here. You know what? I actually need a motion for a review and presentation of the capital budget. And because Jim raised his hand, and I'm assuming that's why he raised his hand. Right?
Yeah, yes, it was. And the other thing I just wanted to point out, and I think I just lost my picture for some reason. The other thing I wanted to point out was, yes, we do need a motion, but second is that could you just outline, are we going to vote on each item as we go through it, or are we going to vote?
No. So tonight is just a review and presentation. That's a good question. So tonight we are doing an overview of the requests in the capital budget. You can ask questions, but we're not actually voting on anything tonight.
Okay.
On Thursday, we will be voting on any possible recommended changes, or if there are no changes, recommended that the capital budget is presented, go to the Common Council for approval. And that I know that since we broke this out into 2 meetings, we're doing this a little differently. Council members, there was an email this morning and last week discussing this, but the vote on the capital budget will happen after all the departments and commissions have rendered their presentations. So there will be no voting to taking this on to the full council tonight, but there will be a vote on Thursday. Jim, thank you. I appreciate that.
So moved.
Okay, so now that we moved the item, David, I'm really sorry. And now the floor is yours.
All right. I'll try to move through as quickly as possible. Feel free to interrupt and ask questions, of course. The first item on our request is Smith Street Buildings, $375,000. This is, we had a fire in the jail on Smith Street in 2010. We spent a couple of years getting plans done. Then we were able to use the insurance money to cover the exterior restoration of the building, new windows, along repointing the brick and reframing interiors on the 2nd and 3rd floor. Then we received a grant from the state of $625,000 to work on ADA access around both the barn and the jail, and we completed that project last year. And now we are ready to move on to finishing the interior of the jail. The Historical Commission is working with the Historical Society to do exhibits. The first floor, which contains the original jail cells, will be all about infamous prisoners and jailers of Norwalk. The second floor will hold the city and the Historical Society's extensive pottery collection, and exhibit on that. And the third floor will be for collection storage. The first floor of the building, we believe, was built in the 1700s as an adjunct for the pottery works that were at where the Head of the Harbor project is now. So that so the $375,000 will allow us to continue on the interior restoration of that building. The next project, Lockwood House ADA. Lockwood House is kind of a misnomer. It's the old name for the city museum that is located next to the health department at City Hall, the red brick building, where the Historical Society runs a museum on an outsourced arrangement with the city, displaying the city and the Historical Society's extensive collection of Norwalk objects, and where we try to tell the history of Norwalk. In 2015, We worked with an architect to develop a multi-phase, a 6-phase plan to renovate the building, to add ADA access, an elevator, a whole bunch of different things. We have completed 4 of those phases. The 5th phase is to renovate the basement, add more access, to add a classroom and more exhibit space down there. And that's the piece we are planning to work on this year. We have some funding left over from our last project, so this $150,000 will go towards doing the basement project. The next project, the Lockwood Matthews Mansion Code and Repair, $75,000 request. As many of you know, you probably all know, we've just completing a $17.5 million renovation funded by the city and state, adding new mechanicals, electricity, sprinklers, all that sorts of things to the interior of the mansion. The exterior of the mansion hasn't really seen much work in years other than the roof. The windowsills, many are rotted, need wood replacement. There are some masonry repointing that needs to be done, and some missing items that need to be recreated on the roof. The $75,000 will hire a team of conservators and architects to come up with a plan and a specification to do that work, which we are, hoping to get funding for in the future next year, and possibly go after some grant funds once we have the scope of work defined. ADA access, Mill Hill and master plan. The 4th item, we're requesting $35,000. That is to replace, we have a video security system that has failed. We run a Little Red Schoolhouse program, and we also have a junior high and high school groups that go through the buildings. And we think it's good to have security cameras on all of that, as well as for when we're not there. And that system has failed, and our current security systems need some updating. So we're looking to fund that this year. The next item, cemetery site work. The Historical Commission oversees the 4 city-owned cemeteries, Kellogg Comstock up over at Ponus and Nursery, the Brookside Cemetery located at Woodchuck and Rowayton Avenue, the Mill Hill Cemetery, and Pine Island Cemetery across from the transfer station on Crescent Street. We have trees fall, they break tombstones, walls fall over, miscellaneous things, and we spend about $10,000 a year on trying to maintain those things. We've fully restored 3 of the cemeteries. There's still probably $100,000 or so of restoration work we'll be asking for funds for sometime in the future to finish the restoration of the broken tombstones at Pine Island Cemetery. But this year we're just looking for $10,000 for repairing stuff that breaks. Those are the requests this year, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, David. Any questions for David from council members? And I don't, by the way, have a rule about committee versus non-committee. If you have a question, raise your hand and I will call on you. Jim Fryer.
So just to go back to the 75,000 and the 10,000 are going to be handled out of the bond premium funds. Maybe that's for Jared.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen that column, and I assume that's what it means based on what his presentation said.
Yeah, or Tom maybe.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm sorry, Jim, I missed the first part, but the 75 and the 10, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, those types of things fall into maintenance and repair that arguably, should be in the operating budget eventually.
Well, that was my other question too, is that why is it in the capital budget? Shouldn't it
Well,
be
this
an
first year
operating
this first year as we're transitioning, we are using the debt premium. It would have been rather onerous to move over $1 million in capital charges over to the operating budget in an environment where we're trying to stick to 2.5%. So it'll be a gradual transition over, say, a 2 to 3 year period.
Also, Jim, for what it's worth, the Lockwood Mansion repair project has been in the capital budget now for a couple of years. Any requests like this do come through capital budget. And as Tom said, they get transitioned over to operating by using the debt premium. But I thought it was prudent to run it through this process, just because of the nature of the request.
Well, originally it was in the capital budget, and it's rather than bonding it is, but I'm not talking about, the cemetery site work is not necessarily a capital item. It's a routine ongoing maintenance type thing.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
The other Lockwood Mansion, we've spent $20 million on that the last couple of years. So yeah, that clearly is, and anything related to it is clearly capital.
Okay. So there's another council person who is Josh Goldstein, but it's not me, so I actually don't know who it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Nora Najelski-Eigner.
Hey,
I
Nora.
apologize. I'll change that.
Okay. All right. So let's know for the record that Councilmember Najelski-Eigner's here. Nora, I actually don't know what time you arrived. So, but
I believe I joined at 6:18.
okay. Let's note that for the record. And then DeJuan Wiggins is next.
No, I was
Okay.
just wanted to say I was here too.
Oh, thanks, DeJuan. All right. DeJuan, around the same time as Nora? Let's just,
Yeah, I can't remember the time, honestly.
okay, that's fine. So let's say 6:18 for both council members, Najelski-Eigner and Wiggins.
So just two very quick questions. One on the Lockwood Matthews mansion. Is that 75,000 something that you estimate is sort of the yearly cost to maintain? Or is that 75,000 sort of still part of this overall renovation repair project?
So this is a new, the renovations that we're doing now are focus on the exterior, on the interior and mechanical systems of the building. We need to take care of issues on the outside of the building. Rotted wooden windowsills, missing mortar in the masonry. There's some grill work issues, some decorative grill work, some decorative stone items that are broken that we would like to fix. So the $75,000 is to hire conservators to write the specification to do those repairs so that we can then go out to bid for it. We don't have the knowledge in-house to actually write the specifications ourselves for it.
Okay, so so that to me sounds like then that 75,000 should not move to the operating budget. It feels to me like the 10,000 should, but the 75 should not. Is that, I just, because I'm confused about the 75,000 being in the line, which I thought was intended for things we were planning on moving to operating. So that's why I'm just trying to sort out the difference there.
No,
Because
you're
those
right.
sounds to me like capital.
No, I believe you're right, Nora, it's really, you could throw it in with the overall capital improvements for the mansion, which is over what, $25 million, David?
I'm sorry, what?
I think that's all part of the Lockwood Matthews Mansion project. You could easily combine that because a lot of, as I recall at a couple of our meetings, some of the things that have popped up that we see need to be taken care of, like maybe repointing some things, correcting some of the, or fixing some of the ornamental stuff. That all came to the forefront when the overall mansion renovation was going on. So that's really just an extension of it's a one-time improvement. It's not going to be a routine maintenance like the cemeteries would be. So you're right, Nora, it should still continue to be a capital item.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's correct.
And so, and maybe part of why I'm raising this is because it does feel like one thing we should be thinking about is getting a routine maintenance item into the operating budget for the mansion, because one of my real goals is to stop having to do massive and extremely expensive capital repairs because we have failed to do sort of ongoing maintenance. And so I was kind of excited to see an item that I thought was sort of what is our estimate of ongoing maintenance costs. But I'm understanding that that is not this, but I think that is something that perhaps we should consider for next year's budget. Now that we have spent $20 million on this, how are we going to maintain it so that we don't have to do this again?
That's a
Um,
good question.
I completely agree, and we are working with facilities management to really monitor the cost and expenses of operating the building. We don't know what our new heating and cooling systems are going to cost to operate and that sort of thing. So we're working with them on a maintenance plan to come up with that budget, exactly what you said, for next year's cycle for the operating side.
Great. And is the plan to raise donations to cover this exterior work? I mean, I have to say, I am really concerned about the, spending another significant amount of money, I mean, on the exterior. So is the plan to do this $75,000 study and then hopefully have that be sufficient to solicit donations to cover the exterior work? Or is this going to be an item coming back to the city budget?
We will knock on every single door available to us to get money for the project. So we will look for grants and for funders to these things. But it is a city building, and it was ignored for 30, 40 years. So we're trying to catch up on all the maintenance and repairs because of that. So I mean, you will likely see us come back for some portion of it. I don't really have I don't have a good sense on how much money it's going to be on the exterior. My sense is that it's not huge, but I could be wrong. To completely finish, to restore all the rooms inside the mansion and make them perfect again, we'd probably need another $15, $20 million. We're certainly not going to be coming to this back to the city asking for that without a phased plan in chunks and getting significant outside funding to help those things happen.
Great, thank you. I really do appreciate that, and hopefully we'll have some more Hallmark movies get filmed there and underwrite the cost. Would be helpful. And then my other question was in relation to the city museum and the 150,000. Is there a particular reason that is on for this year? I know you said this is the 5th of 6 phases, and to Jared's points about moving to sort of a 10-year. What is the sort of overall schedule for completion of that? And does this need to be done this year, or is it something that can wait?
Well, so we've had this project on hold for 3 years since we completed our last phase of this project because we were basically focusing, that's the reason why the Smith Street Jail isn't done. We didn't really press for money for any of other projects because we were trying to fund the massive, mansion project. So we're looking to move forward, and that's why it's on for this year. This is something we would have hoped to fund several years ago.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you, David. Any more questions for David, or I think we'll going once, going twice. David, thank you so much for coming out, and please thank the members of the Historical Commission on our behalf.
Absolutely, and thank all of you guys for all your work. Good night.
Good night. Community Services is up next. I saw Anna Vivian, and I think Lamont Daniels is on as well.
Yes, hi, please forgive my not being able to show my screen, but members of my team are here. I can't see the screen on my phone, but if you let me know the order, we'll go in that order as you instruct to us.
Yep. Yeah, you guys are up now.
Great.
Yep,
You want to hit it? Anything good? Go ahead.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. I'm here representing the ADA compliance for community services. So we requested 450,000. We submitted a PowerPoint to kind of show exactly what the thinking is and the breakdown for those amounts. I didn't know exactly how much detail. Josh, do you think it would be in the best interest of the committee for me to go through the presentation? Is that helpful?
Why don't you, if you could summarize the presentation, I think that would be greatly appreciated. And I don't know, and forgive me if I just don't remember off the top of my head, if the presentation was submitted in the capital budget books. I think it is. I'm looking at it now. I know you submitted it to us, but if you want to just sort of do a brief overview.
And it's not long, so maybe it's just, I'll go through it, because some of it's pictures.
Mhm.
I just submitted a request so that I could share my screen. Went through. Okay, 2.
There we go.
There we go. Can you see it? All right, so the request is for 450,000, 300,000 of it is to modify or replace service counters in City Hall, and 150,000 is to complete projects that are in progress, but unfortunately, due to some situations that changed, we are just going to need a little bit more in order to complete those projects. This slide, I'll just go through quickly. It's really our approach, exactly how the ADA committee decides which projects they're going to tackle with the funds that we request. And then the service counters, we only have 3 accessible service counters. So right now, as far as all of the counters that are present that are public facing, only 18% of them are compliant. Bill was nice enough to go around and really show what compliance looks like, right? So this is the inclusive nature of it. And you can see that it's easy for someone in a wheelchair to be able to communicate with the staff if the windows are at the 36 inches, which is the maximum to be ADA compliant. It's not required for the entire service counter to be at that level, but a portion of it needs to be in order for it to be found compliant. 13 service counters are not accessible. So we didn't come this year requesting for the total amount. We're looking at completing about half of it. So 7 of the service counters with that 300,000. And then this is an example of why it's so important to bring sections of it down if the whole service counter isn't ADA compliant, because you can see a person in a wheelchair, really their line of vision is obstructed and they can't see who they're talking to. And if the person on the other side of the counter is sitting down, then neither of them can see each other. And then this is just a couple other examples. You can see the middle picture shows 2 people sitting down. You're only seeing the tops of people's heads. And if we're going to be an inclusive and welcoming city, we want to make sure that we have service counters that are accessible. This is the order of priority. And again, so we're looking at doing 7 of them: the town clerk, tax collector, tax assessor, community services, security desk, registrar of voters, and building department. These are estimates that were created and garnished through building maintenance as a partner. And we believe that this is what it's going to cost to be able to get 7 of these service counters in compliance. And we also prioritize them by high traffic areas. So we did the departments that we thought that we believed based off of the usage are the ones that have the most traffic, and we prioritize them as such. Before I go on to the completion of ongoing projects, does anyone have any questions in regards to the service counters?
Councilmember Nadjelski-Ackner.
Why is the tax collectors 125,000 when the others are like 8 or 20?
So I know that Bill is on here and he's the one who worked exclusively with Neil to figure it out. I believe it was because of the way that the section would need to be created, because it's like a fuller wall. But Bill, can you come off of mute and just give a little clarity on why that one's more expensive?
So the tax collector's service counter and service area is set up similar to a bank, and it requires security. It requires security glass, and it has not been touched in quite a long time. So it's going to be, that's probably the most costly counter because of the security measures and the difficulty in just lowering one section of that without actually probably more than likely having to tear into the whole thing and reconstruct the whole project. And that's based on an assessment that I did with building management. So it's mainly because of the security of it.
Thank you, Bill. Any other questions? Or Nora, did that answer your question?
It did. I mean, it does kind of beg the question of, is there some alternate way we can do that? That's just seems really disproportionate, but I do also understand that security for the collector's office may be different than elsewhere. But I did wonder, I mean, again, if you're redoing the whole wall, did building management, which again, I know Alan and Neil are great, so I'm assuming they did some thinking about whether there's some more cost-effective way they could do that. And if security requires it, I guess that's, but it would be helpful to know that there really is no alternate design that would be less expensive. So it seems like a lot of money for a wall.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely say,
always,
sorry,
I'm
Bill.
sorry.
What I can say is that we're always trying to make sure that we're efficient and we're responsible for taxpayer money. I know that's hard because we're really going to need the architectural costs to see if there's an alternative. And that's something that we always explore, and we try to make sure that we come in under budget. But these are conservative estimates, and unfortunately, we don't want to have to come back and ask for more. That is not the goal. And undervaluing exactly how much the work is going to cost. So this is our best effort. And as Bill mentioned, it's really with factors that are necessary for that department in particular. But I can say that we will look and work with the architects to see if there's an alternative that maybe isn't as costly.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Anna Vivian, I think you, good, great, cool.
Sounds good, thank you. So then the other 150,000 is to complete the ongoing projects. So for the concert hall, lobby, restrooms, unfortunately, after really digging in, getting the architectural drawings and talking to various experts, it's going to need more work than we had hoped for. They're going to have to really, for lack of a better word, tear it down and rebuild it because of all the necessities in that area. And so we're in need of another 100,000 in order to complete that project. And then for the completion of the curb ramp. So currently we're trying to make the road from City Hall Drive to Eversley Ave ADA compliant, and there's a lot of curb cuts, and the grade is difficult. And so in order to complete this, we'll need another 50,000. And so that's all of the requests that are in that 450,000 for ADA compliance.
Thank you, Anna Vivian. And just as a reminder for those of us, for council members, this presentation is in your capital budget books, and is very thorough. Anna Vivian, are you presenting the next items?
So Deanna, Councilperson Goldstein, Deanna's here for the Health
great.
Department's request.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I saw Councilman Seed's hands up before we move on.
Oh, I apologize.
Make sure if he's got a question.
Yeah, just with ADA, everything makes sense, and thanks for that presentation. I just had a question of how integrated is ADA in all of the city's projects, just to make sure that we aren't like coming back and fixing things where we could have just did it right the first time.
That is a great question. So Bill, who you heard speak briefly, he's our part-time employee, and he's exclusively looking at the prioritization with transition plan projects. So his role is narrowly focused. However, he has done a really great job to build relationships with the city departments, and we lend out his expertise because he is an ADA certified employee. And so as projects come up, he is requested to review plans, to check the bathrooms out, whatever it is, the project out, so that before it's completed, they have his eyes, because just someone who's trained in it and has had all of that experience, they're just going to look at it differently. They're going to look at a project just slightly differently. So we make a very concerted effort to advocate, to lend his expertise out. It's not as formal as I would like it to be, if I'm being honest, but I will say that a number of departments are great partners, and they'll always call up and say, hey, Bill, can you check this out? Can you come with us? And so I think we're getting there, right? Because this position was vacant for a number of years. And so it's about reintegrating it into the everyday process. And I think we're getting there, and Neil Building Services absolutely brings Bill in whenever there's an ADA component. So it's not perfect, but it's on its way.
Thank you. And thank you, Bill.
You're welcome. I would just add to that the projects that we're looking to fund are projects that we've gone to great lengths to make sure that no one else is going to do these if we don't do them. They're not going to get done. DPW is assisting me with drawings for the curb ramps. Property management is working with me on the bathroom project, and also the service counters. But often the point of having a separate ADA capital budget is to ensure that we're covering the projects that would otherwise be overlooked. So these have been neglected for a long time and are well worth being done. We have to show progress being done on ADA. And so when other departments are doing ADA related projects, it's recommended that they consult with me. They usually do, so that we're making sure that they're done in compliance. A lot of times we've caught projects midstream that may not have been done correctly. So we're trying to cover all those bases. It's a lot, but we're trying to cover it.
Thank you, Bill. And Jalen, did that answer your question?
Yeah, great work.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Anna Vivian, for all your work. Obviously, ADA work is incredibly important. It's important that everyone has access to city services and city departments. But the train moves on. I think, Lamont, I think you were saying that Deanna Diamore is here.
Yes, Deanna, we have one item in the health department.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. So for the health department, our one new item for this year is continuing the painting in the building. You may recall last year we had requested painting for the first floor of the building because of wear and tear over the years. And so this year we're coming to you with a request to paint the second floor of the building, the health department.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Deanna. Okay, I think I saw, does anyone have any questions? I'm sorry, Jim Freyer's got his hand up.
Yeah, I think this is one of those that fall into the category that Nora was talking about, is why do we have this as a capital project? This seems to be a routine maintenance item, is it not?
The last time we painted the building was over almost like 15 years ago, but I defer to finance and to you all, to provide guidance on where you best think it fits.
I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not a lot of money this year, but maybe what we should be doing is taking a look at this and find out. And I think Tom or Jared had mentioned this, that maybe over the year, maybe we should be taking a look at some of these things, and maybe this is a building maintenance item. So maybe we should do something later on in the year, and this might not be the time to really start trying to change these things around, but I don't know whether I would consider this capital as opposed to periodic maintenance. That's all.
Okay. All right, I'll highlight it for review.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Tom. Library administration, I think I saw Ms. Harris, Ms. Sherelle Harris here.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to come before you. We have 4 general requests. I'll begin with the first, which is our ADA compliant doors. So this has been a multi-year project. The previous request was for sliding doors and also for lever style door handles. At present, we have the round handles that you have to twist. And those are not ADA compliant. They're not like the levers. So I'm happy to say, thanks to Neil and his crew, that the sliding doors were completed this fiscal year. And if anyone's ever come to the main library, it's the north entrance, but we call it the back entrance. It's the entrance. It has an initial sliding door, but once you get inside, it's very difficult for someone who's in a wheelchair or, just someone who has, some handicap issues. They would have to pull open a door or, anyway, so so this year, now we have the 2 sliding doors. So when someone enters the initial door, it just slides open. And then now, once they get in, there's another sliding door that lets them into the library. And I have to say, our wheelchair bound are very, very appreciative. So thank you to the city for funding that. That then left our ADA compliant door handles. And I'm just looking for the prices. So Neil priced this out, I think last year, year before. I think Neil and Bill, sorry, Bill. And so the door count was 60 and for the interior, and then 3 exterior, and they are $500 a piece for the lock set. So the remaining balance was $31,500. So that's what we requested this year to complete that project. Any questions before I move on? Okay, and then second on the—
Oh, wait,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Very quick question. So I know that we have great hopes of ultimately renovating the main library. Will these have to then be replaced again when we do that?
They should not. And Nora, thank you. That's a really good question. We've held off for, quite a while. We tried to be very fiscally conservative, thinking, that the main library would be renovated, but it's been a long time coming. So we finally just had to put this in the budget. But yes, they will transfer over.
Great question and appreciate the answer. Okay, I don't see any additional hands up, so Sherelle. Keep on keeping on.
Okie doke. So the next is our library van. This we've requested for 3 years, so I really appreciate that it's being funded because it's now starting to rust and fall apart. So the back, like we put things in it, I would show a picture, but I can send it, but it's pretty bad. The van is 17 years old and it's only rear wheel drive. We just had a lot of issues to the point, it's getting to costly repairs. So it was just time, and particularly because it's rusting and now falling apart.
Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, just on that, Sherelle, thanks for your being here and your presentation. You requested this a couple years ago. Am I remembering correctly?
I think she said 3 years ago.
3 years.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Yeah. So, and I know it was starting to get pretty rough then. So, yeah, I am well aware that needs to be replaced. So.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so the third is our Norwalk newspaper digitization. I don't have my Invisalign in, so I can say the word now. So it's a pretty exciting project for history buffs. So we began this project, and this has been a multi-year project. We began by digitizing the Norwalk Gazette from 1818 to 1899, and also the South Norwalk Sentinel, 1879 to 1909. And these are all in our history room at the main library. At present, we are on the Hour project. We started the project with 1962 to 1970 with the Hour, and now we're asking to complete 1971 through 2006. And that project should then be completed.
This is a really important project. I've always been very fond of this project because it's important that we preserve our history. And
for sure, and Norwalk has such great history. So yeah, I'm very excited about this one too, and thank you. And then the final is our laptop vending machine. Couple of years back, maybe now, actually now 5 years back, not even a couple. We got laptop vending machines, so people don't have to come to the desk. They can just go up to these machines. They can present their library cards, and a laptop will come out. And then once they put it in, you know, it'll be refreshed, you know, charged and that sort of thing. When we did that project, the stipulation was that we would change out every 5 years. And just give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I have the correct details. Let's see.
no, I think you got it.
Yeah, I have it. So it was actually the year 2019 that we got the laptops, and so the city approved the purchase of the vending machines for both libraries during the 2020-21 capital request, and the contract stipulates that we rebuild the machines at least every 5 years, refreshing the laptops. And this would encompass 18 laptops for the rebuild, you know, for our 2 laptop vending machines. And that cost for both libraries is $17,000.
Does anyone have any questions for Sherelle about the remaining couple items that we just discussed? Seeing none, Sherelle, thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we've completed 4 departments: Historical Commission, Community Services, Health, Library. Lamond, I think that's yeah.
Thank you
because
all
we've
so
got-
much. Appreciate
I think
it.
we covered Community Services. All right, great.
Thank you again. Have a good night.
Have a good night. WPCA, you were up.
Oh,
I actually don't know who's speaking on
I
behalf.
think we're all
This is
together
Vanessa.
here.
Okay.
Mr.
Good,
Goldstein.
great.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
So good evening, everybody. Vanessa Valadares, Chief of Operations and Public Works. So we have the whole DPW umbrella tonight in front of you with all the 5 divisions. And before we start and going by each division, I just want to make a couple of comments that will apply to all of us. The first thing that I want to remind everyone is that the WPC is an enterprise fund. So it works as the same as the parking authority, and we're gonna go over those items, but just to refresh everybody's mind, the 3 items that we have is aligned with our 10-year plan and also with our consent order that we have submitted to WPCA. I mean to Connecticut DEEP. Although we haven't received a response from them yet, we're already working some of those projects. But again, this is an enterprise fund and doesn't come out of like what we call the general fund for impacted. In regards to the other divisions, the numbers that it is on this spreadsheet already reflects a $17 million cut that we all work together to try to bring our numbers to as low as possible. The backup that you guys have on the books reflects the regional number and is not reflecting all the cuts and also the recommended mayor budget. We do support the mayor recommendation for this number. We have no request on any other changes, but to be very transparent, we cannot really go over further cuts. Which we really tied up the belt this year. We understand all the conditions that everybody's facing. But if we go a little more than that, the concern is that we're really going to affect some of the major infrastructures and the service that we can provide. So with that, I just want to pass back and Mr. Chairman, I can go the way that you want. I don't know if you want us to go line by line, if you want just an overall. We are all here and we're happy to answer the question.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I think I think, look, there's a lot to cover here, and I think we should probably go, especially with these, go line through line, and just of the stuff that's requested. On the agenda, just because I said I would do it in the order of the agenda, and if it's expedient to do it a different way, let me know. I have as WPCA Building Management, Rec and Parks, and then Public Works Operations as the order as listed on the agenda. Tell me if you think that that's the order that's on the agenda.
It doesn't matter.
If that's amenable to everyone, just so that everyone knows what to expect. Otherwise, I sort of leave it to you how you want to go through it, because I know there's a lot to cover.
So we'll start with WPCA. So Ralph Kolb is here. He can go give an overall of the 3 items that we have.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Ralph Kolb with the Water Pollution Control Authority. I'm the Senior Environmental Engineer. The first line item for WPCA collection system rehabilitation. The city of Norwalk has over 200 miles of collection system, and the 7.6 million that is requested goes along to rehabilitating that system over the next 10 years. We submitted a plan to the Connecticut DEEP in September of 2022. It's a 10-year plan for a collection system, reduction of infiltration, and continue asset preservation. If there's any questions on that, otherwise I can move on to the treatment plan.
This is part of a continuing effort.
That is correct. And currently we have Situ Form in town, which some folks may have seen. They've been secured in place pipelining in various locations in the city, more specifically down in Bell Island, Samus Street, Woodward Avenue, Marvin Beach area. Also doing manhole rehabilitation. All this helps preserve assets for the long term. They give an additional 50 years of useful life, along with reduction of inflow and infiltration, which helps reduce capacity at the wastewater treatment plant.
Great. Next.
All right. And,
sorry, I have a question.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, Nora, I missed that. Sorry.
No worries. And so I'm going to ask the opposite question on this one. Are you really comfortable that, the reduction to 7 million is not going to set us back in terms of our long-term maintenance goals? I will be my endless broken record, but my question is always, are we maintaining enough so that we're not going to have more expenses down the line? And this is a place where I worry that not maintaining enough creates much more expensive projects down the line.
So to answer that question is 7.6 million. This is what we requested. And we're going to request the monies each year, and we're going to continue to have projects in the collection system, continue to enhance our system.
I think the question Nora's asking is the request at 7.6 million, I guess, enough, or that could it be more expensive at the current request, or is the current request sufficient to cover what we need to do without creating cost overruns in the future? To the best of your expertise.
Yep, it is sufficient now for the next project planned. Like I said, we're going to have projects every couple of years that we're looking to proceed with construction. So over the next 10 years, there's going to be each year we're going to be asking for additional funds to continue to fund these projects.
Another thing that we do that with the WPCA is that we know pretty much how the projects can be done and how we're going to prioritize. So understanding the need of having to reduce the capital request this year, we went back and we were very realistic about what type of projects can be bid out and will be built in the next year. So that's why you see some of the reduction happening this year, because we do have still a little bit of the capital money from last year that we are still in the process of working. As everybody know, we lost the pump station this year. And the idea first was to do that project early in last year. That didn't happen. That now got postponed for a few months. So we were able to adjust the request based exactly on how we're going to be doing the projects. So in other words, Nora, we are comfortable with the request.
Terrific. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And just to note, and I think you said this, Vanessa, in the capital budget books, it seems to outlay sort of what your projected request would be for the next 5 years.
Correct.
Okay. Councilmember Freyer.
And also another thing for the WPCA, I'm sorry, Mr. Freyer, let me just clarify because I know that it's not everybody that belongs to the board there. One thing that we do at the WPCA, we have a financial model that we update on a yearly basis, and that financial model help us establish what will be the rates that we're going to propose for the board. And on the financial model, we carry the operating cost and the capital cost. And that's why we're very comfortable with the numbers that we are putting on, because not only meet the requirements that we need on project related, but also keep us on the cap of what we want as an increase of the sewer fees.
Jim is.
Yeah, basically that's what I was going to ask Vanessa or Ralph to explain, because I think that the Keeler pump plant that went out that we lost during the year is going to be almost as much as the cost. That's going to be almost as much as what we've got in the budget, maybe even more. So that's a big nut to take on. So I was kind of surprised to see this number go down as much as it did. But if you're comfortable with that model, and I know you've said this to me a number of times, that you're comfortable with the model and we've got enough money in there that we can go ahead and we'll be able to afford that without coming back and asking for more, then I'm satisfied. You guys have been doing this for a number of years and you're really good at it. So I'm comfortable if you can go down to that $7 million number. 7.7 and change. Okay.
And Vanessa, you said that you have some money left over from last year. Is that planned so that the idea being that more than 7.6 would be used for this upcoming fiscal year, or is the idea?
What happened is that the way that we do when we put that request is based on the projects that we need to get done. Unfortunately, with the WPCA, there is also the permit part of it that we need to take in consideration. So one of the main things that is really holding the expenditure of this money is getting the approval of this plan that we submitted to Connecticut. That has been almost 2 years now that we submitted the plan. And we have been doing some of the work because we're going to do part of it regardless of their response to us. But we cannot really spend a chunk of that money until we do have a confirmation that they're going to approve our plan. So that's why we still have some money in the account. And we really do not know when they're going to get back to us. We were able to meet them in person in January when we were in a conference. And it seems that they are very aligned with the plan that we proposed. They may come up with an answer soon, but unfortunately, we know that that agency has been extremely busy with all the changes from the federal government there. And again, to be honest, we are not so much in a hurry to get that response, right? We are committed to do a big investment in our system, and the time will start counting as soon as we get an answer. So we are doing some of the work that we can do, but again, if it takes another year, help us on this coming years to minimize a little bit the request on the capital part of it.
Okay, and I imagine the commission's fully informed as to the fact that there's been a delay in terms of the response on getting an answer, and I'm imagining there is no legal requirement that they have to provide an answer to you by a certain date. This could just hang out there for a while, is the sense I'm getting from.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, that's not great. Okay. I think, are we at item number 3, or do we just cover that? I'm sorry if I'm going back and forth between my notes here. The WWP TP rehabilitation improvement.
Right, we're at item 3. So the request, with DEEP in September of 2023, we submitted a wastewater treatment plant facility plan, which outlines the next 10-year plan for the city's wastewater treatment plant. And this is, this money request is following that plan. Obviously, we still haven't got DEEP's answer on the plan, but we are moving forward, nonetheless, with capital projects starting to, actually, we just started a design for our final settling tanks. And DEEP is actually going to be part of that project because we did submit for potential for consideration under a Clean Water Fund program with the state of Connecticut. So in this design, DEEP partners with the city, they attend meetings, and it's just the design component. We get to the final design, we get construction estimates, and along the way, they determine if we have sufficient priority points to provide any potential grants or low interest loans of like 2% to the WPCA.
Does anyone have any questions on this particular item? Okay, see none. Thank you. I think that's those are the 2 WPCA items. And I'm glad that DEEP is involved in this. Sorry, I'm getting the thunder. I think the rain's.
We heard here also.
Yeah, it was pretty ominous. Okay, I think building management is next on our list here. So I don't know who's taking that, taking the lead on the presenting here for that.
How are you? Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Neil, how's it going?
Good. How's everyone this evening?
Good.
So I'm going to go building by building. The first building is City Hall, repairs and improvements. Line number 1 is fan coil upgrades. That's all the perimeter fan coil units at City Hall. We're looking to slowly upgrade versus replace. We originally had a number out there for, I think, 500,000 to start doing replacements. But due to the economic climate, we're going to try to prolong the life of these units for another year or 2, at least, maybe 3. So 50,000, we're going to rebuild some of the units. Some of the condensate pans are rusted, and we're looking to replace those. Number 2 item is security upgrades at City Hall. We're looking to upgrade some of the cameras. We still have a lot of the analog cameras. Do a new server so we can get extended life on the recording time. We typically like to keep 30 days of storage. And as we install new cameras, replace cameras, that declines over a period of time. Number 3 is painting, interior painting, $25,000. We're looking to go floor by floor. The building hasn't been painted in a number of years. You know, this has been a conversation earlier on about maintenance versus capital. We're kind of at a point where it's capital, where we're doing a whole floor versus, you know, maybe a room, which we do under maintenance throughout the year. You know, the $1,000 to $500 here and there, where we're painting offices, moving people in, and changing configurations. Any questions on City Hall?
Don't think so.
Okay. Next section is a building is Public Works. We have a number out there. It was brought up on an OSHA walkthrough. A lot of our exterior doors down there, because of the caustic the salts, number 1 from the water, number 2 from the salt shed. A lot of our exterior doors and that tend to rot out over a period of time and are not always operating correctly. So we're looking to do an upgrade of three or four doors down there. The next item is the salt shed design, and we're looking to probably do a replacement over the next year or two. The salt shed's is in bad shape. It's been I think it was built 97. It gets a lot of wear and tear over the seasons, and it's kind of at the end of its life. We've done core samples on all the foundation, and the concrete is pretty much done and needs to be replaced. The next line item is to replace flooring in the weigh station building. That's something we'd like to do in this coming fiscal year. Questions? Next building is the main library. We're looking to do roof replacement over there. We've had leaks probably for the last 3 or 4 years. We've made repairs. The coping stones on the roof are in bad shape. Or I shouldn't say the coping stones are in bad shape. A lot of the pointing, a lot of the caulking needs to be done, and we'd like to get that done under the $320,000. The next line item is design and that's the elevator cab modernization. This elevator was put in the 70s. It's not up to code. We have issues with elevator controls. The interior of the cabs are in really bad shape. You have old laminate that's all chipping, breaking. The current control panel doesn't meet ADA standard. That's something we're looking to bring up to the speed.
And just to cut in here, I'm going to anticipate a question that my colleague Nora Najelski-Eichner has kind of already asked about. Should there be improvements to the main library? A lot of these changes, seem to be needed now, but also I imagine would be implemented or helpful should there be a redesign of the main library building.
Yeah, so unless we were to rip down the entire structure, the roof would stay intact. The elevator would stay right where it is. The only thing we would do during a renovation is obviously protect the elevator, close off the mechanical room, so we wouldn't incur any dust, any type of damage right during that period of time. But no, it would stay the same, and this would probably give us a good another 20 years of service without doing any other work.
Thank you.
The next building is the branch library. We're looking to do a roof replacement. And we're also looking to do upgrades of the restrooms over there. The restrooms are rather dated, need work. Partitions need to replace. Some fixtures need to be replaced. And that's something we'd like to bring up to speed over the next year. Next is the health department, another roof. Again, most, if not all, these roofs we're speaking about are in the 20 to 25 year lifespan. This is at the 25-year point. We've had leaks over there. We've made repairs. We're looking to replace it. The next line building is police facilities. We call them crack units, critical air conditioning for the 911 call center, dispatch, and the data center. We're looking to upgrade those units. These run 24/7, 7 days a week. They're coming up on 20 years of operation, and we're looking to replace them. The next line items, 2 and 3, are for the front pavers, concrete in front of the building. It's deteriorated beyond repair. We'll probably have to make some repairs temporarily, but we had with the freeze thaw, it's really broken up over there, and we've had some trips and falls, and we're looking to address that right away. Next one is fire headquarters. We're looking to replace the hot water heaters They're getting near the end of their life. Again, it's 12 years old, which doesn't seem like a lot, but they are online 24/7. They get a lot of wear and tear with all the truck washing. You also have all the restrooms, bathrooms, kitchens being used, again, every single day, all hours of the night. The next building is Ben Franklin. First, we have is design and replacement of the fan coil units. These units go back 30 some odd years. They're all ceiling hung in all the classrooms. We're looking to do a replacement of all the units before we get total failure. We're getting close. Obviously, we make repairs. We continue to maintain them to extend their life, but we did get 30 years of life out of it, which is really good. The next one is Crystal Theater roof. Most of the other roofs have been replaced at the site. This is the last one, and we hope to do that over the next this season. The next is Crystal Theater windows. The windows are original to the building. They're single pane windows, and we're hoping to replace those. Some are cracked, some are missing, some are temporarily repaired, and we believe there would be a great savings there to get these from an energy perspective, to get these replaced. We also have on the roof of Crystal Theater is the HVAC units. We'd also like to replace those. Those are also aged and slowly getting beyond repair. The next line item is capital replacements, repairs. This is a line item that we carry. We use this throughout the fiscal year to address any either capital overages or small capital projects that come up throughout the season. And you can see we use it. We use it quite frequently, and usually it's pretty close to being emptied out before the end of the year. So it's something we do rely on. The next one is EV chargers, sustainable projects. It's something that we continually use. We continually to upgrade, whether it's motors, fan motors, control schemes throughout all our sites, BMS operations. We're always looking at ways to save money. This year, right now as we speak, we're getting ready to do all lighting projects at all the buildings. We're replacing it, all the Eversource buildings at least, to go with high efficient LED lights, City Hall, Health Department, to name a couple of them. The next one is Senior Center. The exterior doors over there are original to the building. We're looking to do a replacement of a couple of the entry and exit doors. And we're also looking to assist on a couple of the meeting rooms that need a lot of work. And I say a lot of work. There's some abatement, lead abatement. There's some asbestos abatement in the mastics. So we're looking to clean that up for them and to put some of these meeting rooms back in service for them. The next line item is environmental remediation. This is used across all our projects. Example this year is we're doing all the doors on the terrace, on the new terrace for City Hall. That's a place where we would use this money for abatement, lead abatement, asbestos abatement. We also use some of this for the Historical Society to clean up some mold remediation at the gatehouse. So it's widely used by us. And then we have sidewalks and repairs, which goes across all our buildings. Obviously over the winter, over the seasons, we get a lot of curbs that get damaged. We get sidewalks that with the freeze and thaw that we'd like to replace in a timely manner before we have any trip and fall hazards or any other safety hazards. And I believe that wraps it up for me. Any questions?
I'm sorry, did we cover Nathaniel Ely, or did I just miss that?
You believe you missed, did I miss Ely? Or was there not any, let me.
I think the heater at Ely. I can't remember if we went over it or if, as I was going through.
I thought it was
Let me-
windows that Nathan,
Let me
Really?
go back to my,
it went from 330 to 35,000?
Yeah,
which, Ely.
H
page 19, I see 35,000 of items, which I think was the hot water heater and design service for the window
Yeah,
replacement.
sorry about that. Yes, that's those are old hot water heaters, two hot water heaters. They're 120 gallons each. Couple things. We don't need 120 gallons each of hot water. These are antiquated units. They're energy hogs. We're looking to replace them with smaller units that are a lot more efficient, so we don't have to store all that water and keep it hot. We would probably go down to 260 gallon heaters. They're just using them today for hand washing and stuff of that nature. So
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Neil? Neil, that was very thorough and exhaustive and deeply appreciated. Does anyone have any questions for Neil? Jim?
Yeah. Neil, thanks a lot. That was really very, very interesting. The drop from 330 down to 35,000 for Ely, wasn't there something about windows in there?
Yeah,
that
so
were unsafe or
yes,
something like that?
yes. So here's the windows over there need to be replaced. The issue we run up against is we would have to displace the children at the school, and that's always been an issue. And I said we displace them because there's some abatement that needs to take place, right? There's some PCBs in the caulking. There's some lead. So we wouldn't be able to do the work with the children in this school. So we haven't tabled that up. We haven't brought it up again. It was out there a couple of years ago. We need to come up with a plan to, a year or two in advance to relocate the children so we can go in there and kind of just pull out all the windows, maybe over a summer, and then put everything back into play.
But it says in the details, it alludes to the fact that they're dangerous. So you mean the danger is in the lead and the.
Yeah, there's no danger. There's only
out.
danger. There would only be disruption, only if it's disrupted, the current condition. There's no safety issues out there per se. But it obviously, if we were to go in, and I don't think with the schools, they don't allow us to do one classroom, even with negative pressure and stuff of that nature. They don't allow us to do that. The safest course is to remove the students for probably a few months, go in there, take all the windows out, put it back together. And it's something we've talked with the Board of Ed and trying to, and the other people that are involved to try to work around that.
Okay. And just to be abundantly clear here, because you said there's also lead and some other, I mean, are the children there safe now?
Yeah.
Or are they not safe
Yes.
there now? Like,
Yes.
let's be very clear about this.
Yes, they're safe. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was my point, is that, if the original reason was that it was dangerous, but now it's no longer dangerous. Maybe, I think the wording in the details.
Well, I think the
just
words were
misleading.
safety concerns was the phrase in the capital budget form. But I don't know if you've thought about or your timing about this particular plan. But this is the kind of thing where we say it now, it gets kicked down the road and then it never happens. So I think we should actively work on trying to get this particular project moving.
Good.
So, okay. Neil, again, thank you.
Thank you. Everyone have a good evening.
Thanks, Neil.
Bye now.
Rec and Parks.
Yeah.
I see Ken.
Yeah.
I don't know if the screen's very small on mine, so I don't know, Robert, if you're there either.
Yeah, Robert's here.
Robert's here. Great. Okay.
I'm here.
It's just like, it's the owl, and it's also like small because the
Turn it this way.
Yeah.
There you go, a little bit more.
Now, Rob, you can drop it down.
There you go.
There I am.
all right. Hey, Robert.
How you doing?
Hey, Robert. Hey, Ken. Okay.
Good evening. Good evening to all the committee members. I just want to give just a general overview of our capital. We're not requesting a whole lot this year. But our priorities really this year a center around, preparing for the new community center for next year, and also, improvements to the beach. An increase in our athletic fields, and, also, new maintenance vehicles. And also our continued improvement to our playgrounds at the schools. So I can go one at a time, or if you guys have any questions right now, I can go one at a time.
Why don't we go one at a time, and we'll
We'll do that. Okay.
yeah, just
So
the way Neil did it, just
okay.
run it
So
through.
the mayor's recommendations, we have two vans that we are requesting for the new community center. The vans would be for the purpose of transporting participants in youth sports. Sometimes the youth sports are in different locations. Also seniors in our senior programs, and also our teens. The city has a Teens Night Out program right now that is really run through community services, but we're going to be partnering with them as well. And the teens are taking the different activities throughout the city. And so our vans, this is common to community centers to have these types of vans. Also, they'll double for also, running errands, picking up supplies and things of that nature. So that is one of our requests.
And Robert, just to confirm, I know there was a bigger request about construction costs for 2 million. I imagine that money has now come from other sources.
Yes, that's no longer a part of our request.
Okay.
Sources. The next is $2 million for the Broad River. The Broad River Athletic Complex, which will be a place where we can now hold Little League and baseball tournaments at that particular facility. It's an improvement. We'll pick up. Now you have two fields there that are hard to use actually, but you'll have 3 nice fields there that are will be it'll be the envy of baseball fields around here. And so that is $2 million request. We already have about $5 million that we've accrued over the last couple of years. And so we're requesting another $2 million to complete that project. And we're at a point now where we want to bid it out. We're at a point where we're going to have construction drawings. We're going to go to bid here fairly soon. The next item.
Sorry. Can I ask questions in order?
I got a few hands up. Nora, Jim, Barbara.
So 2 questions on Broad River. One is it, there's, I believe, been a lot of debate about turf fields there. Is this project is not moving forward with turf fields, it's moving forward with grass fields, correct?
No, this is a hybrid field. It would have synthetic infield and grass field for the outfield.
Okay. And that was approved by the Parks and Recs committee?
Has it been approved by the Parks and Rec committee now?
No.
Okay. And then the second question was, I know that DPW was looking at using some portion of that field for flood remediation efforts. So you're talking, there was some I believe there's some looking into doing sort of some underground work there. Is that going to happen? Is that all coordinated? Is that part of this project, or is that a separate project?
Vanessa,
Yes, I can answer that. It's part of the project. So, and that's why under the engineering budget, you see a line also for what we call Kronos area. So the money that we have on this current year, it will finance part of the Broad River complex. We are actually installing not only a big alley system to keep the runoff created from the field inland and then help with flood mitigation, but we are also already installing a very big culvert that is already designed by Wooden and Curran. We have the two designers working together. So we already have that culvert installed, so we can go and then start doing that whole project that we're breaking up in phases. So yes, as part of the whole project, we have all the drainage necessary for also future improvements in the area.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that information.
Jim, Barbara.
Yeah, Robert, you mentioned that we've already invested $5 million on this field.
No, we've accumulated, we have 5 million now to spend on the field. And the estimates, our estimates are in the $7 million area, but we have to go to bid as soon as we get our drawings. So yes, we already have $5 million for the project.
So this field, this complex of 3 fields is going to be, and this, which is going to be hybrid, is going to be $7 million in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
a little bit more if you consider the drainage. About 7 million coming from Rex and Parks, 2 million from engineering for the drainage. We're close to $10 million if we get it everything with all the alternates. That's our latest estimate. Unfortunately, the cost of the fields has been increasing a lot since we started this project. We are also lighting one of the fields as well in order to keep the field not flooding. That is really a major area of flooding. We had to elevate the final elevation of the field. So we had to build some retaining walls. We are also proposing some concession stands, pickleball courts, and bathrooms. The way that we're going to bid this project is we made the base bid being the drainage with the 3 fields, with the alternate of the lighting as first alternate. The second alternate will be, let's say, the accessories that will be the pickleball, the concession with the restrooms, the box, right? The
Press box
is one, and I may have been missing one as an alternate. In other words, we really want to try to get this project bidded and be able to award this year. We are short on the money. We believe that with this request, we're going to be very close to the point that we can really deliver the 3 fields. One thing that I think that is important to say is that we are so overdue on this field, and it's a big headache on keep maintaining them. And we have a lot of leagues that play there. It has been used a lot for all the community. There is a lot of support for the minor leagues that we get those fields done. We are not able to lead all of them. Costs and also because of all the lighting that may get into a residential neighborhood, we decided just to lead one. But this will be really a field that can be used in the future for many, many tournaments, and will be like one of the best fields that we have. So we believe that our goal is break ground. We are like 100% on the drawings. We just did the final revision about 2 weeks ago. We are cleaning up the drawings, adjusting the alternates so we can bid and at least get most of it done with the money that we have.
So if we take a look at what Robert just said, that there's $5 million that's been approved already, but we have not bonded it. And then we're going to spend about another $2 million on drainage, and then another $2 million on this hybrid field. So we're going to be over $10 million on this thing.
No, we have about like 9. We believe that is 10.2 was the final estimate with all that alternates. We're hoping that sometimes the estimate comes a little bit higher than what is the price, because some of the numbers we use with a little bit of an allowance. And I believe if we get it all approved, we're going to be a little bit short of 10 million with all the requests that we have.
So let's call it 10 million just to be on the safe side. So it's $10 million for couple of 3 ball fields out there that are gonna be.
No, the drainage, Mr. Freyer, I
Well,
have to
yeah,
say,
no,
the
no, I
drainage
understand.
is really, and that adds a lot, you know, because it's not only the drainage itself, but what we had to do into the field to protect from flooding. So, there are $2 million already just to get this big culvert installed and do all the drainage, under the field. So that is already one thing. And the
Right, that's a separate public works item that's gonna be in the $2 million range or better. So, and we have to do that because the whole area floods all the time. And then we're gonna put a ball field on top of that. So at the end of the day, we've spent almost $10 million in this area.
Correct. And with
Which I
more
agree
to
we
come
need.
with more of the drainage, that we are considering for the area. So just the whole drainage itself for that whole area as part of the study that we got it done is another $10 million. So that neighborhood will see major improvements in the next few years.
Yeah, if they all want to have ball field there, I guess. Okay, that's.
Also parking, let me just also say another thing, we are also improving parking. So again, this is not, I want to make sure that, I know it's a big number, but it's not that just 3 fields. It is really what we're calling a complex. So we have everything, because before we had the tennis courts, we're switching to pickleball. We have parking for everybody that is improved, we have the playground. We have trees, so we really want to make it like as nice as we could. And that's why the number is significant.
Well, I think that, you know, what kind of bothers me a little bit is that we're taking, you know, we've got a really a noteworthy project in Public Works in the $2 million range. And then we're billing this as a $2 million ball field. But the true value, the true cost is an additional $5 million that we've approved and just haven't implemented yet. So this is really now becoming, you know, one of the more major projects that we've had in the city. If we take into consideration all these little disparate projects that are going on.
I also want to remind everybody that we received a grant for this project. So is the 5 million that we have is not only 5 million from us, it's not only capital. I believe that we had about 2 million that was a grant, it was a state funded project. So that's also, we do have a need to bid this project, otherwise we're gonna lose that money.
Yeah, okay. So, you know, maybe at the Public Works, not at Public Works, but Parks and Rec, we should be looking at this complex in total, what the total cost is going to be, and take some of the other expenses and take into consideration if there's grant money involved in it. This is the first time I'm hearing there's grant money too. So, you know, I'd like to get a full understanding of how much this whole project is going to cost.
Well, we know that the field itself is gonna be a little bit in excess of 7 million. We know that, but we have to bid out to see what the true costs are going to be, but the designers are estimating it just a little bit over 7 million.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
The field is going to be a hybrid field. We're not using chrome rubber. We're going to be using cork, a new brand, and also we're looking at companies that will not. Their solution to preserving the field is not PFAS. And so we're looking at all those things to try to secure and make the field as safe as possible.
Okay. All right.
I'm happy to share the estimate cost with you guys. We do have that.
Yeah.
As a breakdown.
Okay, Barbara, then Lisa.
Yeah, just you know, I just want to reiterate and highlight what Vanessa was saying is, you know, this is the first part, and correct me if my memory is serving me wrong, Vanessa, but doing the flood remediation in this area is crucial to be able to continue the remediation up the line towards that New Canaan Avenue, you know, up in that Ponus area. So it's like the basis of the work that will follow. It's got to be done first. Right? I'm right about that.
That's correct. So
Okay.
as you're gonna see when we present the engineering budget, we do have a line for another $2 million to really pick up the end of, let's say, the field all the way up to the outfall. So we already we're engaging the designers. So as soon as the field is completed without falling up, we're gonna do the downstream and the outfall of it. And then hopefully in the years to come, we're gonna be able to fund or maybe go for some grants and we can get to the upstream. That area, particularly the upstream, we have a lot of flooding issues that we have. But we can talk more about the drain. Get to the engineering.
I just want to
But
make sure.
that's why this number is high.
Yeah.
And Mr. Freyer, I just also want to just remind everybody one thing. We also now, as you're aware, we are proposing a increase on the fees for recs and parks that generate revenue. And one of the increases that got some adjustment was to the leagues. So the youth leagues now will be the ones, so again, to minimize the impact on all our operating budget, we came up with all this structure for the new fees for recs and parks. And one of the things that was approved by the Parks and Recs Committee and the council was that some of the service that people would like make some money out of it, like the private leagues, will be having more increase. So we believe that also providing this type of fields, we're going to be able to create more revenue to the city as well.
No, I understand that. We went through that last week.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure to finish up here with my comments and questions because there's other people that would like to speak. But I also want to say, you know, just remind everyone how important this field is, the Broad River field, and that the parents have been, you know, the leagues, the parents have been really, really clamoring for it. And we really do need these fields. And I think the idea of numerous fields in that space is very good. I do, though, want to, express my concerns, and I know that others have it, is, that artificial part near a watershed is still concerning. And so, I know, Robert, you just said about, working with companies that, can guarantee. I mean, I think I'd have to see an absolute guarantee that there are no PFAS in the product, because, this is something that we've really learned in recent years. I think that it's been several years since the last turf field was approved, but the PFAS information has come out since then. And I don't think that there's, I don't think we're feeling too good about PFAS right now.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Lisa.
Okay, big surprise. I'm definitely very concerned about a hybrid field. And to just reiterate the comments that Barbara made, I don't know that there is a safe turf field that doesn't have PFAS. And the research that I've done, I guess I've been the one who's been a little bit of the spearhead on this to date, shows that there's no safe fields, that all of the grasses are extruded through machines that coat them in PFAS. And what's particularly upsetting, just as Barbara said, is this is on a watershed, and the watershed pours into drinking sources. So some of us play baseball, but all of us drink water, and I'm very concerned. And I do think that there'll be a lot of people coming out about this. And I know that some of the conservation groups have done some water testing around these fields, and it's concerning. So this is a really expensive project. I really want the kids to be able to play baseball, but I also want them to be playing it on a safe field, and I want the people who live close by not to be burdened by PFAS. So I just needed to say that. Thank you.
I want to add one more thing, Lisa, to that is that, the other thing we have to be careful about with the PFAS is it getting into, ultimately into Long Island Sound and threatening our oyster industry.
Yes.
Yes,
Another really
those are the
important
people who've been doing the testing, are people who are associated with that. So all of that's critical and we just have to be responsible. So thank you.
Heather.
Hi, so my question is, I'm hearing about flooding coming from Ponus, and that's on the other side of Route 123, which is a state road. Is there any coordination that would have to be done with the state as far as any of this building, or is there anything that could hold this up?
No, Mrs. Then, will be just city drainage. What runs over 123 is a state drainage, and we're not allowed to hook into their system. When we did the whole study, our consultant looked into it as well, but we have no approval to connect to their system. So we're upgrading our own system to alleviate the flooding. You're correct, on the other side of 123.
Which is not really near Broad River at all. Like I'm trying to figure out why.
Part of the watershed, actually, it is. So all that water runs through the field and get to the outfall.
Right. No, it's the Ponus. It's the Ponus that's I feel like we're conflating Ponus with Broad River, which aren't really that close to each other. There is, and I agree with Lisa, the PFAS are, the Kellogg Deering well field is right there, and that's a big concern. Do we have any funds allocated for testing to make sure, in the back end that there's no problem here? Or no? Like what? Because I know the First Taxing District Water Department doesn't test for a lot of things. They test for 3 or 4 things a year. Is there some way that we could support them in making sure that it's, because I'm also concerned about the air strippers in the Kellogg Deering well field too, but that's another whole issue. I don't know. It looks like Jalen has his hand up. He may have some comments about the First Taxing District Waters Department.
Jalen.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to, with PFAS, I mean, we're doing PFAS as much as we can over at the First Taxing District. Not really restraints in funding for testing, but there's a big push on PFAS right now for people to do testing. So with all of the water districts, there's only a few places in Connecticut that actually do the testing. So that's a big holdup with the PFAS testing, because these labs are really strained. And it hasn't really been a focus to really help them. So that's really the problem with the First Taxing District is not that like we can't test. We're doing testing all the time, especially like in the well fields. However, it's just the labs are kind of to their breaking point right now. But other than that, I definitely support and the concerns, and the First Taxing District definitely has a lot of concerns as it comes to PFAS and the artificial turf.
Okay.
Okay, I think we've gone through everyone's hands. Does anyone have any other comments, questions about this particular item? Obviously, it's started a discussion, and I think a lot of the points brought up, I mean, I'm just from my own personal perspective, I agree with the concerns brought up by Barbara and Lisa, and I think the context brought by Jalen in particular. So I just want to say that this is something obviously we will be keeping an eye on, a pretty close eye, as it moves through.
Josh, as I stated before, we're trying to do this field as safe for the public as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not, this isn't the.
Yeah. That's why we determined to do a hybrid field. So most of it would be natural turf. And we decided not to use crumb rubber because that's also controversial. So we're going to be looking for a company that can make this field and address the questions of this committee as much as possible.
Okay. Yep, I think we're moving to the beach now, right?
Okay, to the beach, yeah, to the beach. I'm gonna actually let Ken cover this. This is kind of his, we kind of worked on this together, but he's been closer to it, so, and I'll jump in.
Okay.
Uh,
So we currently have a few items listed under Calf Pasture Beach Capital. The first one is a renovation of one of the existing buildings at Calf Pasture Beach. A few years ago, we actually started a summer camp down at the beach, which has been wildly successful. The problem is the buildings down there are original to the 50s, so they aren't very conducive to hold kids and to have summer camps. And for example, anytime we have inclement weather, we have to move the kids from the beach to a off-site, which is usually a school. So you can imagine the issues that we face, you know, trying to run a camp down at the beach. So we have seen our attendance at these camps explode. Currently has 600 students, hopefully 700 to 800 this year, and exponentially higher in the out years. So this building would serve as a home base for our summer camp. So it'll be a revenue generator, bringing in roughly about 150,000 a year, just on camp alone. But there will be other uses for this building in terms of meeting spaces or anything else that we see fit. The building itself does, like I said, need renovation. So we're, you know, kind of killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah. This could also add to our facility rentals. The capacity of this facility would be larger than most of our capacity is all of our indoor facilities. So it's going to add revenue, not only servicing the youth, but also add a space for special events for adults and for our residents. So it's going to be a revenue generating facility.
So the next project, the beach, one of the biggest complaints we have down at Calf Pasture are the portable restrooms that we have in the off season. So we probably field 5 to 6 calls a week on the porta johns. So Robert brought the idea that this is from his home state of Seattle. It's called the Portland Loo. It's more of a permanent type of restroom. You want to expand, Robert?
Yeah, it's a modular restaurant room that is made from stainless steel. It has you know, the restroom facilities, the washing, the mirrors. It has all the core elements of a restroom, and it's easy to clean. You come in and you power wash it every morning. Stainless steel. It lasts forever. A lot of jurisdictions around the country are buying them. They started in Portland. Seattle, we've had about 9 put in our parks in Seattle. They work perfectly, easy to maintain, and they're tied to sewer and plumbing so that there's not this constant smell that has been you know, the source of complaints. And the mayor really asked us to look into something that would solve our problems, and so we wouldn't have to use those portable porta potties down at the beach. So this addresses what was requested.
Okay, our third request is a pole light replacement project. We're looking to replace 50 of the existing walkway poles down at the beach. The issue we're having is those poles were installed around 2012. So due to the wind shear down there, we currently have, I believe, 8 poles that have been snapped, and we're seeing that happening more and more. So we're looking to replace these poles with a wind-resistant pole, which basically has a globe that allows the wind to go right through the globe. If you look at the lights down at the beach now, there's a big plastic acorn globe on the top of the light, which acts as a sail, and you can actually see the poles oscillating during the wind down at the beach. Not only will the poles be wind resistant, but we'll also switch to an LED fixture. Right now, each fixture is a 250-watt metal halide, which is killing us on electricity costs. So not only will we have poles that'll be more conducive to the weather conditions down the beach, but they would also save money on electricity usage. And the last project at the beach is the renovation of the basketball court. So we're looking to do a post-tension concrete basketball court at the beach, which is the same type of court we did over at Fitch Park. The post-tension concrete carries a 20-year warranty against cracking. And we'll also be able to set the height of the basketball court a little bit higher to alleviate any flooding issues that we experienced in the past.
Okay, does anyone have any
Those
questions about
items?
all of the calf pasture projects? Barbara?
Yeah, thanks, Ken. I just want to ask, because I've got the budget book in front of me too. So is it it's the outdoor stage area, the showmobile is not included?
We put that in the out years. What we really
Yeah.
want to do is get a semi-permanent stage down at the beach. Being that concerts have become so popular, we think that'll be a better alternative than the stage, the traveling stage. So we're looking at that project in an out year.
Okay. Thanks.
Josh, I had one quick question. Are these new porta potties heated?
No,
No?
no,
Or-
no.
So what
Let me-
happens during the winter?
You could put elements in them, what do they call you could put heating elements in them, but that's an added, component, and we could do that, yes.
We would probably have to add that, so whatever that is to the cost, I would think it's probably not that.
I think the cost we estimated so that there could be other components added, so I think our estimates are still okay. Still good.
Nora, I see that I'm frozen for a second.
Oh, just very quickly, when you mentioned when you mentioned converting the light poles to new LED lights, is it possible to estimate, is it going to pay for itself in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? I'm just curious, with these kind of energy efficiency conversions, do we have some metric for sort of what we're hoping to get?
And that's what we have been seeing, 10 years, sometimes depending on the cost, we can reduce to 8.5. Unfortunately, that is the number that we have been continuing to get it.
Okay, but that's still helpful. I mean, if the life of them is over 10 years, then, then they are at least at a minimum paying for themselves. That's pretty good. Not lots of our things don't do that, so.
Right, one of the major things also is not only the LED, is more really safety. We have so many issues with those poles breaking up. Things forgot nothing happened, but it's kind of, but it's still, it is a concern.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. No, I totally understand that. And it certainly seems necessary for that reason alone, but it's nice if, at the end of the day, it doesn't actually really cost us. So that's just helpful. Thank you.
The last two items are maintenance vehicles. To a playground renovation at Kendall and Fox Run. So our maintenance vehicles are two F-250 pickups to replace older vehicles. And then our backhoe, of course, is something we need to do our work. And laser grader is needed to level our baseball fields and our athletic fields. And then the sidearm mower is also on our request. And then the last item on our request is, of course, $300,000 for two playgrounds renovations, one at Kendall Fox, one in Fox Run, elementary school. That's the extent of our capital request.
Can I ask another question?
Mm-hmm.
So I see that park signage was removed, but I feel like we talked pretty extensively about needing the park signage for the hours of the park, for the updates on dogs. I'm just wondering if that's an item that really we should be moving forward, because we I thought we're relying on updated signage to meet some policy objectives we approved. So I wondered about that item.
Yeah, so there was some discussion at our first go around with the capital that this probably should have been an operating expense. So I don't know if Tom wants to speak a little bit more on this, on why some of our items were moved to operating as opposed to capital.
Yeah, so you've got quite a few of them here, maybe 8 to 10 of them that we have categorized as appropriate for using the debt premium and ultimately into the operating budget. And the park signage is the first one on that list at $100,000. So it's a total of $460,000 within the rec and park world that we believe is more appropriate for operating eventually in this first year of this new approach. It will be paid for by debt premium.
Okay, so I apologize. I just want to then make sure. So who is then approving those items? Is the council still approving those items, or are those items going to get approved by the BET as part of the operating budget?
It will still be the council because the debt premium falls under the capital world, if you will. So when we actually write the transmittal letter that the BET did, you will see that it's broken out. It'll be X dollars that's to be bonded, and then Y dollars for the debt premium.
Okay, so, and not that I want to make this meeting any longer, but I do wonder if those items should be discussed, Chair.
Sorry, I've had some like technical difficulties, so I'm able to log back in.
Oh,
I'm sorry. So you're asking if items 12 through 17 should be discussed because they're funded by debt premium versus as a capital expenditure?
Right, so Mr. Sowers didn't go through those items because they're not really on the capital budget. They're on the debt premium budget now, but if we are also approving those, then I feel like do perhaps merit discussion.
They
So I don't know,
should,
I'm just raising that
look,
question.
Since we've now done this in other departments, and as I understand it, and the way this was teed up, while some of these items are being transitioned to operating or they function like operating, we are still responsible for voting for these things as part of the cap budget. So, we're technically voting on all of these items.
Okay, so I am in favor of park signage, and I'm glad to see that it is still on the list and so I guess I'm just perhaps asking if there's any other of these these items from Parks and Rec that should be discussed from that side of things.
Yeah. We think the rest of them are really items that really belong in our operating budget, but the signage is something that we were carrying forward. We had the signage study done, and to complete it, we will need this $100,000 to complete the signage program. So it's something that we need, and it's something that we're in the middle of. We have the designs for our signs. We've had the mayor look at them, and we run them through his office, and we also had our Rec and Parks look at it and review it, approve it. So, we're ready to implement it, and we really need the $100,000 to do
that. Jim Fryer.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's the answer that Nora is looking for here. I think that and correct me if I'm wrong, Nora, but you've got something like the park sustainability, the playgrounds and school parks, athletic fields, and so on and so forth, tennis courts and all that stuff, all the way down. So you're saying that those which are going to be covered under debt premium, those are purely just maintenance, upgrading. There's nothing extraordinary in there. No new fields that are being built, no new tennis courts that are being installed, no new, well, other than the trees that you're going to have a couple hundred trees planted. Is that true? Is that what you mean,
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
Okay.
And
So
those are
Nora, is that
recurring
okay with you?
period
Yeah,
expense.
yeah, they're reoccurring, they do belong to operations. Operation budget.
Yeah, and Jim, when we first went through this exercise, Jared and I took a first pass at this, but then we met with each department and said, here's our proposal. Moving this to the debt premium and ultimately to the operating budget under the guise of general maintenance and repair and upkeep. And yeah, it was a collective decision.
And sorry, to be very clear, I agree with all that. I was merely saying that I thought that should be publicly discussed tonight because that is a significant number of items that were not talked about. So that's all I wanted to make sure was that, again, that we are, because we as the council will be approving these as capital items for this go round, I just wanted to make sure, to Jim's point, that there wasn't anything that we should discuss among these items. That's all. I agree that they should go on operating. I'm a big fan of, regular maintenance as part of operating. So I have no dispute with that.
Yeah, and I agree with Nora wholeheartedly. Obviously, this is an interesting twist, but since the nature of the source of the funding, I agree with what Nora said.
So do you guys want to put the
So-
spreadsheet up again and then we can go over these
Yeah,
items?
yeah.
Sabrina, if you can put it up, we can quickly go over.
Oh, no, my point was
Well,
that if it's just all, and that's my question to Nora, was if they're all just maintenance, we're not adding anything. There's no new capital items for any of those items. Do we really want? And putting it another way, Nora, it's up to you if you want to have somebody say something about what's being done on each one of those items.
I'm sorry.
It's fine
I
with
think
me.
we're kind of going a little afield here. What I think the issue was, and Nora, tell me if I'm wrong, is making sure that if there are any issues with these items or anything, because of the fact that we are voting on them, that they should be discussed, and that if there's an issue, like, let's bring it up. However, if there isn't an issue, and as we understand that this is sort of routine maintenance, the source of the funding is the reason why it's here versus in the operating, but that the understanding is that it'll be operating eventually. If anyone has an issue with any of these items, it's one thing. It's another if we're just going through things to go through things. Tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm cutting this a little too close. Jim,
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is I don't.
Okay.
I think
choose
that's
to
what
go
we're
through
all
those.
saying. That's exactly, I think we're all saying, I just wanted on the record to make sure that it was clear that there
Yeah.
wasn't anything about these items that was new, different, et cetera. Just
And I also think it's really important that we say to the public, we want to do these things. We want to maintain our athletic fields and we want to maintain our, basketball and tennis courts. And, it's not, and I realize for anyone who, I know, this is always something, a question that constituents come up. The way we're funding it this year is a little different than in past years, but we're going to do it.
If there's any questions, we're prepared to answer them. Otherwise,
I will say, and now that I'm thinking about this, and I do think that this is sort of a funky quirk of the, just the spreadsheet that we have too, because it has, department request that is not technically recommended by the mayor, but that it's funded by the debt premium. And so there is this funky thing where like, well, is it actually on the capital budget? Because it didn't, it seems like the mayor didn't recommend it, even though the mayor is recommending it. It's just recommending that it be funded by something other than the capital budget. So it's just, again, this is a process quirk, and just because of the source of the funding and because it's something we don't usually see. But I think it's important that we acknowledge that it's here and that we're able to do it and that we're able to accomplish these things through the debt premium.
Okay. Thank you.
okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Josh. Thanks, committee.
Okay. Vanessa?
No, can we go operations? I want to send Chris and the link home. It is just 3 items that they have pretty much. So I think you. Thanks, guys. Okay, Chris. So I think that we have just 3. Go ahead, Chris.
Where do you guys want to start? I didn't get a book. I just have pages.
Hey, Chris. All right. Why don't we start
Transportation
with
improvements, maybe?
operations? You know,
And you have also fleet, Sabrina, just find. fleet
yeah,
there.
well, let me see. Let me for a second here. I'm sorry, Chris, are you handling the fleet maintenance, engineering, building management? I mean, I'm sorry, not building management.
Fleet
Engineering,
maintenance?
fleet maintenance.
So let's start on the order that is shown on the spreadsheet. So the first one is the operations and public works there. It is the
Yeah.
electrical upgrades for a charging station. We are requesting $30,000.
Mhm.
You see that one? Did everybody find it?
Yes, it's the bottom of the first
0681.
page.
Right. And that's over the next 3 years.
Okay. But I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, this was an item that wasn't recommended by finance. I don't know if you were gonna talk about that or something along those lines.
We're looking to upgrade our sustainability infrastructure in the way of EV chargers, for instance, at the beach, at the libraries, Boulder Farm, maybe, Gallagher's Estates.
Mm.
And it's part of, the mayor's sustainability initiative.
So why didn't you recommend it?
It's one of the debt premium items, Josh.
Oh, it's the debt premium. I'm sorry, I just don't have it right in front of me. I apologize. My apologies. Okay. Then next.
Transfer station improvements, how's that sound?
Yep, we're on that now.
Okay, so, the roof at the transfer station is, so bad that we could not install the fiber for our camera system because the guys, you needed a bucket truck to like hang over the roof. Because they were afraid they would fall through. I don't know how much more information you want than that about the roof.
No, that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, fiber optic, so that the transfer station is still operating on the same premise of when it was an incinerator. There are no fiber optic lines that link our transfer station to the rest of the city's IT network, including phone lines. So we're looking to upgrade that. The conduit has already been run underneath the Metro North Railroad tracks, and believe it or not, that was the hardest part of this project. We're just looking to bring it over the finish line and finish that and put it to bed.
Okay.
No.
And then lastly, our fleet maintenance. Five-year forecasted, and this year, it was reduced from 990,000 to 665,000. And my question is, do you guys want to hear what we can get for the 665,000?
Yes.
Okay, so we're looking at another variable message sign. The city has several now. We cannot have enough of them. Just to get the message out in an emergency and for special events for the city, construction projects, etc. We're looking at a small Freightliner M2 plow truck, which is in line with our fleet replacement plan that we've been doing since 2006, is to replace 2 large caliber 6-wheel dump trucks for snowplow operations every year. Just so you guys know, for history, from 1978 to 1995, the City of Norwalk's Public Works Department bought less than 5 trucks. So this is something, someone posed the question earlier, is not getting it now hurt us down the line? And for some of these things, yes, I think Nora brought that up. Our trackless boom flail mower is
we have a trackless machine that, we have two of them. One of them can cut grass and one of them can only do snow operations. So we're looking at the $45,000 boom to get that out onto cutting right of ways with the grass and stuff like that. And if you guys are wondering what a trackless machine is, it's the little yellow machine that's very small. It seats one person. It's got the engine on the back. It kind of turns in the middle. I'm sure you guys have seen them floating around the city. We're looking to replace our foreman trucks with a hybrid F-150, which is considerably less money than the F-250 gas trucks that we've been purchasing in the past. We need a John Deere excavator. We have a small Bobcat excavator that we've been using. And the reason why we bought it was because the gross vehicle weight, it could be towed with less than 10,000 pounds, but now we need a bigger one because we're doing more construction work to help engineering in-house in operations to save money. And then we're looking at a backhoe for the same exact purpose as the excavator for $179,088. I'm sorry to give you the price for the excavator was $143,789. The trackless boom mower attachment was $45,000 and the hybrid F-150 foreman truck was $55,000.
Okay, just to be clear here, because if you look at page 6 of that request, right? I mean, it seems like, I guess let's just step out, because I think you just mentioned the excavator. The excavator, as I see it, was slated for next year's cap budget, not this year's cap budget. Am I right about that or not?
The plow truck.
So the plow truck, we were
took it
getting,
out.
we were getting 2 plow trucks a year. Over the last 3 years, the city in cost-cutting measures have reduced us to 1 plow truck. We still have 3 front inline service plow trucks that need to be replaced to make our process of at least updating our top 26 plow trucks complete. So the city of right now has 23 newer, when I say newer, 10 years old or less, and the rest of our fleet is aged beyond that.
Okay.
Also, the list that you have, it is.
Oh,
original
so
one
I'm
with-
sorry, the list that you have also has been updated. We took out for this year a $315,000 plow truck and bought a smaller Freightliner M2 plow truck for
Okay.
$235,000.
Which is in line with the complete streets.
It's in line with the complete streets.
Okay, but just to, I just want to circle on, obviously the request went from 990 to 665. What was
Correct.
in that, what was left out?
The Mack plow truck,
The
Okay,
Mack plow truck,
the first item. The only thing is also, you
and we
know,
took out some EV cars that were in there originally, I believe.
We did, and we put them in the fleet, the regular city
yeah,
fleet.
so the electrical vehicle that was showing S2 we moved to the other item. That is the fleet just for the cars.
Because DPW we have enough electrical cars right now. so
Yeah,
just
we
stick with
were
six.
not gonna buy so let me just explain one thing just to make it easier.
yeah, great.
When we go with this first one, because this is new, right? We started with, before we used to have only 1 item for all the fleet, and now we do have 2 items. So the first one is fleet replacement. That is the one that Chris just went over. In the past, fleet replacement included everything. One thing that we noticed last year, and that's where we did the breakdown, is that some other departments request vehicles. And what we did is we did a breakdown and it's showing, so let's say that tax or health needs a vehicle. With the exception of fire and parks, all other vehicles and police, right? And police also do their own.
Fire and police, no.
Yeah. They also we included under various department fleet vehicles. So that's just regular vehicles. There is no equipment. If there is any vehicle that will be used by DPW, we put under our fleet replacement. So back to our fleet replacement, the question that how we came from 990 to 665, we did two things. We moved the Mack plow truck out. And also we did a little bit of a change on the electrical vehicle cars because we already bought some electrical vehicle cars this year. So we took out from it and then we just kept on the electrical vehicles under the regular various department fleet.
Okay, that is very helpful.
So
Thank
that's
you.
why, and what he read was really the new updated list that get us to six.
Yeah, one of the other things too, some of the equipment that was on the original budgeted price, when we got new pricing based on our new list, like the backhoe went from $200,000 to $179. So there was a $21,000 savings there.
Okay. All right, so maybe, I don't know if any, I see Nora's hands up, but if maybe we can send around the updated version of the list, because I'm not sure everyone saw that before tonight's meeting. Nora.
In the morning. Yep.
Just super quickly, are we anticipating tariff problems on these purchases? Are we gonna see prices go up?
Well, the steel, believe it or not, for our plow trucks come from Canada. So I don't know if it's gonna go up or not gonna go up.
It's supposed we do not, most likely it will, Nora, but unfortunately, we already updated the prices twice. It's a very volatile market, as everybody knows. We are doing the best estimate that we can. We understand also, this is our bottom number. What will happen if there is a 20% increase in general of the price of the cars, what we may do is just ended up going back and try to reduce one of the equipment that we cannot purchase. That's what we're gonna end up doing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. But that is a really good point and something that we, you know, I mean, you guys keep an eye on this. You do such a great job at it. And, you know, it's important for us to make that clear to people that what happens in Washington matters here at home too. For a
Right,
whole host of
and
reasons.
particularly when we get to our construction also.
Yeah,
It is,
absolutely.
we are making the decisions based on all the information that we have. That's why we got the prices again. We send it out to the dealers, ask them to price it again, but no one is holding on their price. So it has been, that's why we're trying to put all the bids out as soon as possible. We are seeing increase in prices everywhere, but we cannot predict. We do not know if tomorrow we'll wake up and then the news change again and then.
Right. Well, right. No, it's incredibly unpredictable and it's not fair.
Exactly.
That's not, no dispute there. So
We do have a backup plan if tariffs affect our large truck capacity. In
Let
the
me
way
ask, though,
we don't
I
have to buy
remember-
Tenco bodies from Canada. We can buy steel bodies from America if it
Okay.
gets bad.
Let me, you know, if I remember correctly also, I know that this is true with fire trucks. You basically buy them years in advance and you basically put the money down or allocate the money down. So you lock in the price. I'm assuming that's not the case with these kinds of vehicles, where you can't lock it down that early and say there is a tariff that's applied or something along those lines. You can't say, oh, well, we made the deal at this number and you, Canadian supplier, have to honor that. I imagine not the case, right?
We do that, believe it or not. So all the, like, when the council votes on this budget, we're gonna send Freightliner a promise to buy to that. So when the truck is built a year and a half from now, we get the truck. Because
Right.
believe it or not, there's a waiting line of 50 municipalities that all have truck orders in at the same exact time.
But during COVID, they didn't honor their price also. So although we do that, if there is a major discrepancy on prices, they will come back to us and say, we cannot honor that price anymore. And Josh, I don't know if you remember, there were a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, that we had to go back and also change because there was a change on the price. We had already the intent letter and they came back to us and said, we cannot honor that price anymore for all the reasons. By then was the controls, that no one could buy any type of
Right.
controls.
Right.
So, again, we'll try, that's what we try to secure the price right away, but we do not know a year from now if they will have to
Of
come back
course.
for more money.
But Nora, good question. Okay, I think that I don't see any other hands up regarding fleet maintenance. Okay,
Okay, perfect.
so I think we're on to engineering now.
Yes, thank you so much. Guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Sorry, thank everyone. It's the very small screen. My apologies. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, thank you. And it says now we only have, it's just me and Jim now, so we're not gonna be able to see both. Hello?
Hello,
Hi,
Okay,
there you are.
all right,
okay.
all right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll just, I'll go through these, line by line over here. The first item we listed here are for bridge repairs. In past years, the Connecticut DOT has always inspected bridges, and made recommendations for repairs either to themselves or to the municipality, depending on ownership. But in recent years, they followed suit with New York and other states where they give the responsibility of inspecting bridges shorter than 20 feet in span, which are classified as culverts, to the municipality. So we are required to actually inspect bridges that are that are shorter than 20 foot in span. And we do this on a 5-year cycle. And the last time it was done that, we are now at the end of the cycle, the engineering consultants that we've retained have made recommendations, and we are now looking to implement the recommendations that we have at the end of the cycle before the next series of inspections begin. So these are basically recommended and basically required to implement these repairs. The next, you see B1 is our pavement management program. As you know, we have our pavement management each year. This year is slightly different because we are now implementing the complete streets concepts within our projects, which ties in not only our paving, but our sidewalk and curbs and our watercourse maintenance, basically all in within most of our typical paving projects itself. So we're looking to implement all these with to coincide with the complete streets concepts and guidelines that as you know have been directed. So sidewalks and curbs and pavement management are going to be we're looking to continue those with the various roads that we have listed before. Now,
Well, again, the backup that you guys see was
Yeah.
for the regional $8 million for paving.
yes, that's
And also with the sidewalk, so that we are, we came up with a way that we could pave equivalent to $6.5 million on streets, and then we need 4.5 for the sidewalks associated to those streets. We do have, again, the list of streets that will make it to the list. So the regional of the backup is not holding true anymore because there is a little bit of a difference in the cost there. We are, again, back to the construction costs. We're hoping that our list will stay as is when we bid it out. We haven't bid this project out yet. We're gonna start seeing some of the numbers coming back in the next few months.
yes. We've had to reduce the numbers that are on the list that you see before you.
Right. And when you say the number, you're talking about the highlighted streets or the whole list period?
So the way that the list goes, it is pretty much the one that is highlighted is definitely the ones that we're keeping as a must that will be under that 6.5. The other ones will be being added as much money as we have. So with the 6.5, most likely we'll be able to do up to each lane.
Okay.
All right, and as I stated before, that goes along with the sidewalks and curbs as well, in order to go along with our complete streets guidelines. The general drainage, which is B4, is that basically is we're looking to purchase the various drainage structures that basically just need to be replaced almost in kind. So if a catch basin top breaks, we need to just simply replace those. It doesn't make consideration for future drainage projects, just simply what we need to have out there for an as needed basis. And we anticipate using those pretty sporadically, but on several of our projects, especially if they had to be replaced within our project limits for our capital projects themselves, which for all the ones that you've seen. Yeah.
Drainage contract.
Yes, along that. And along with our on-call drainage, we also do the water course maintenance. Those get tied together. That gets more involved in terms of just either replacing of pipe systems that are underneath that are deteriorated, or in the case that we've seen recently with our again with our new complete streets concepts of actually installing new drainage systems within the roads, which are required in order to have the paving done properly with the complete streets concepts.
I just want to add one thing to this item. This is really one of the items that also we did a major reduction. And also, I just want to clarify that, you know, we all know that drainage, it is really an issue throughout the city. And we are trying to address a lot of the projects, but the last couple of years, we have been very lucky to be able to accomplish a lot of drainage projects. So we just finished Dreamy Hollow, that was a $10 million project. We are now in the process of doing Heather Lane, that is $5.3 million that we're lucky enough to receive a state grant. And there will be a little other projects that we're gonna get to it. And also we are considering that the Broad River field gets approved. That's another that we'll consider as a big improvement or the start of the improvement of a drainage in another area. So we also took in consideration how much work we can do this year related to drainage. So that's why you are seeing that reduction there and that we are comfortable. But it is a very low number. We were not going to be able to keep this number as low on the next coming year. So I just want to also highlight that.
Noted.
Okay, then the stormwater management plan, that goes in line with our MS4 program, which just like our bridge inspections, these are actually required by the state. So we are required to implement these, and we need to get funding for that. And as you go further down there, I know this has been discussed already, but the Buchanan Avenue and Ponus storm drainage, we are looking to do a major project down there. As you know, there's a major project for the entire area, which has been broken up in phases. This is the lower phase, which goes down in the area of the Broad River. And independent of whether or not there's a field there, this area just simply needs to have some good drainage installed in order to alleviate flooding within the region and be alleviate flooding, not just for that area, but for the future projects that have to go and tie into that system. So all this is the beginning phase. None of that can be done within that whole system unless this particular area is actually addressed. And we're looking to do that with the $2 million in funding for this. And the next area over there is the C7, which is the Glendenning. We've been kind of putting this off for a while. There've been several concerns with residents wanting to have the area paved and a lot of address the flooding in the area. We can't do much of anything into this area. We've been putting off for a number of years, but we can't really do anything for this area until the drainage itself is actually remediated. So we are looking to actually do the work in there as part of the Glendenning in order for us to do a future paving and everything else that is required for that.
We did a study there also. So the study came up with a couple of options, and that is the cost we ended up picking what will be the best option to that area, and that's the cost of it. I believe we put it out last year, and that got it pushed out to this year.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. So tree planting.
Tree planting, so, again, this year we are seeing a $200,000 request on tree planting. The last few years used to be a little less, half of that actually. And I just want to remind everyone that we are trying to increase the tree canopy as part of our tree master plan from 43% to 53%. And we need to make sure that we have funding behind. We're able to secure some grants in the past. We do not know if those grants are coming anymore. So I think that in order to be able to keep planting as many trees as we are, we definitely need to keep this funding secure.
And also for construction purposes, if any trees had to be removed for construction purposes, as you know, by city orders, we had to replace those.
Two for one.
Yeah.
The next item is the East Avenue roadway. This is related to the wall bridge around East Avenue is the underground of the utilities. We are committed to, we have to pay our share between 4 Point and almost up to I-95. And there is still, we're still gonna need to go back and create a service to the area. So part of this money is already obligated to pay back to the state.
So next you see E2 is the grant local matching funds. As Vanessa pointed out, we have received grants for various projects, especially drainage ones. But we're looking to have this funded for basically, we have to be able to pay our share for anything that is required for this. We are looking to obtain some additional grants. Discussion for the areas of Meadow Street and Veterans Park, and we will need to be able to fund our own contribution for these grants if we are to get those. So that's an important one. We really can't alleviate that one too much. And last, just simply, if you see over to E8 is the green infrastructure. We're trying to implement any type of green infrastructure wherever we can. We already, in the engineering department, we already have ideas of where we could use them. And we would like to try to implement that wherever possible.
Okay. Wow. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Nora?
I do. I actually have a couple of questions on items that fell out, I think it looks like. So, for instance, the Lawrence Street drainage. What is the plan then for, I mean, for grappling with that area? Is it being pushed off to a future year?
It's gonna be pushed off for now, yes.
Yeah.
We originally requested 500,000, but
We need to, we do have a study for that area, Nora. And one of the options is to pretty much bring another line parallel to the existing one and create another outfall. And maybe try to relocate what we have as a small storm drainage pump station there. We do have a study that is over 10, I would say maybe 15 years old, that really needs to be looked at it again. So what we're trying to do with this money is try to get back to the study, get the construction documents, and hopefully that's what the 500,000 would be, and then eventually try to go for some type of a grant and see if we can build that area. Unfortunately, that again, we put it last year, got pushed out, and then again it happened this year.
And I guess so the question then with that is, understanding as we do how many years it sort of takes from plan to completion for you all. If we're not funding that, are we going to have a pipeline problem in a couple of years where you've sort of worked through all of the projects that are planned? Like, I guess I'm asking, how much of a problem is it to push this off?
So the way that we prioritize, and I'll be honest, if I could, of course, we'll do all the projects, right?
Yep.
That's we started on a much higher number. But the way that we see when we really need to make those cuts is who will have the most benefit of that project. So Lawrence Street, one thing that happened with that, and we do understand they do flood a lot. but that water is always on the right of way. So if I compare that to Glendon, the water is getting inside the houses. And there are like, one of the houses pretty much become kind of a river, like the whole water on the major, it goes all the way through. So if I have those two projects to pick, I'll definitely gonna go with the one that will cause more damage to private property. So that's why on that case, Lawrence ended up not being as a high priority as Glenwood. So that's how we try to come up with this consensus when we have to like do some cuts. So again, if we could at least get the design done, the good thing about having a shelf-ready project, at least in the past, was that we are always seeking for opportunities for grants. And most of the grants will happen for projects that are ready to go. And that's how we were able to get all the grants from for Lockwood and Heather. We had it all completed here. Was one of those projects that we were putting on the capital. We knew that it would take a couple of years to get the money. And then when there was an opportunity, we said, we're ready. Let's see if we can get the fund for that. So I think that, again, we'll try again next year. Hopefully we'll get the design going next year. And then depending on how it is, we'll try to either come for a grant or put it back on the capital. So as of today, I would say, and then usually it will take a good, almost a 6 to 9 months to design a project like that. And then a year of construction. So I would say it's about 2 years from the time that we get the fund to where we can finish the project.
That's really helpful because I am wondering if this is a project that is worth, the council choosing to put back in, precisely because it is, as you say, the kind of thing that if we have invested that small amount, it allows us to be ready to apply for much larger amounts that, end up saving the city, quite a bit in the long run. So I appreciate the explanation. Thank you.
Guys, question, Josh?
Oh,
I
I'm
think-
sorry.
or did
Yes,
you
I was
freeze
just
up?
writing a note down.
I thought you
Yes,
pressed-
of course, Barbara.
Vanessa, could you just clarify this? Because, just my experience, and I just, want to make sure I'm right here, is it's not uncommon for you to, look forward to these flooding projects. Like I kind of recall Glendenning, that was, it was looked at, not funded the first year, so it's not uncommon for these flood remediation projects to be, you put it on the list, right? So you start to generate the, the idea that this needs to be done. But sometimes it takes a year or two.
So I can give a little bit of an explanation on how those projects happen, right? As I always say to our public, the more they complain, the better for us, because then we know that there is a problem and then we can act on it, right? If people don't call us and do not let us know that there is a flooding issue on their street, we do not know. So what we do is we map those calls, particularly on big storms. And again, we have a map here at engineering that we try to record all the calls that we get or the emails that we get during some of the storms. Of course, if it is a 1,000-year storm or 500-year storm, a lot of people call. We do not worry too much about them. When we have a smaller storm and that same people start calling back, it will flag to us that that area needs some attention. At the same time, when it's raining a lot during the day, we dispatch our team to some of the areas that we know that is prone to flooding to see how the water is behaving there. After that, we make a list. So what we started doing a few years ago, all these projects used to be tied up under one item that was the water course maintenance. But that didn't help us much because, let's say that we put there 5 million and then that got cut to 3 million, right? It was very hard to explain to a resident that 2 million got cut and then we ended up not doing project X, Y, and Z. So this way, what we did is we break up by the projects that we feel that is definitely important for the city to support. And then we put them in with whatever will be the cost of design, or if we need a study before, and then the construction cost on the out years. And then we come in front of all the boards and we explain exactly what those areas have been suffering and what it is. And that's why when I go back to Lawrence and Glendenny, the example is very easy to explain. Glendenny, we see private damage, that water is getting inside the houses. At Lawrence Street, we see water on the driveways. We see water on the right of way, but not inside the house. So eventually, again, you know, we know another one that also caused some issues is Glendenny. Glendenny, Glenwood, we do have a little bit of a study. They have like an open water course in the back of the houses, but again, it goes a lot to their backyard. We don't see as much inside the house unless if it is a very, very major storm. So that's why that one is also not even showing as much as Lawrence, because we would like to take care of Lawrence before even we take care of Glenwood. So that's kind of the idea that we do behind it. That's why we broke up in separate projects. So one good thing is that few of them is already out of the list. We took care of Dreamy Hollow, biggest project ever in the last 20 years. We're gonna have actually a ribbon cutting next week. Everybody's invited. And then Heather Lane that we're gonna finish. Our contractor is moving very fast. We were able to work all winter and we should have it done by the end of this year. And then that's what is the other ones that we have besides the small projects. And so the small ones like Cosset and Chatham and all that, we are able to address with our water course maintenance. So that one that, again, this year we're requesting a very short amount of money, but usually we request around 2 million. That gives us flexibility to, if we're paving a road and we know that we can improve the drainage there, we'll use that money. So some of what is very small, like what we did at some of the roads that we have been paving, we try to use that money. But now if it is a standalone project, we put it there because we need funding specific for that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, though I thought that was very clarifying. So, so thanks a lot. Yeah, please do make sure that you send the invite for Dreamy Hollow, because gosh, that was just a long-term project. It's so great that it's finished. And then, you know, I know we're wrapping up, but I just want to make sure that I say thank you to the staff. I know mostly everyone has bailed by now, but you're still here, Vanessa and Jim. You know, this is, I believe, the 4th time that you've gone through this. You go through, like, you know, every year, right? Capital budget. This is, I believe, the 4th time you have gone through this process of, you know, explaining and defending your ask. So,
no, I appreciate it. And thanks for the support. You know, we understand also that we don't want to like, as I said in the beginning, we try to be extremely cautious with our request. We tried to shave as much as we could this year. But again, those are really like the numbers that we can kind of we'll be able to do the projects, because there is also another thing that I think it's important. We try not to ask for things that we cannot do it. You know, I like to get the projects completed. You know, I don't want to have the money and then we don't get the projects done because we didn't even have staff, manpower, and all that. So I think this is very realistic of the projects that we can complete on a yearly basis. You know, I feel very lucky. I have a very good staff that they can run those projects very well. So, you know, I know that sometimes $6.5 million on paving can be like a big number comparing to other municipalities, but the truth is we can handle, we can definitely pave that much amount of roads.
Our procedures for actually implementing these projects have changed with the recent upgrades with the complete streets, but our staff has been working all through winter, different manners that they have in the past. But we've been accomplishing that. We're set to go if we are implementing a lot of this.
Thank you, Jim. And I appreciate DPW's commitment to working to integrate complete streets policy. Obviously, you guys have been very helpful throughout this process, and I do want to recognize both of you for that before and now, and just sort of going through, and with such detail and compassion and understanding of your requests. And please thank your entire team on our behalf. Just a reminder, last year we were doing this at 11:30, so it's a little earlier than that.
We're happy.
Yeah, well,
We did great this year.
I thought it was important to try and space this out for this very reason. Okay, if that's everything, I think we've covered the half that we've slated to cover tonight. I think we've checked all that off. Someone's got to raise their hand.
Motion to adjourn.
There we go. All right. Good night, everybody. As a reminder, we are coming back on Thursday. New agenda will probably come out tomorrow.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.